Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Podium eSports coverage of the 8th race for Season 5 of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. Tonight, it's the SimSeats 120 live from iRacing's virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway in Concord, North Carolina. Good evening, everyone. I'm Blake McCandless. I'll be joined alongside tonight by, once again, Kenneth Bueno. Glad to have you back after the break last week, Kenneth. And, of course, Jacob Hitz, as always. Well, Kenneth, I would say you missed a lot last week, I think is the easiest way to put it. A lot was going on at Gateway last week.
Yeah, I heard around the grapevine a lot was going on, but the biggest thing was Will Rogers getting his first win of the season. We saw him kind of bouncing around through the season, but finally he's etched in the playoffs. The biggest note here is this transition tonight. There's only 2 races left until the playoffs start for Season 5, so the urgency is very, very high. A lot of guys are going to go balls to the wall trying to get to the top 13. Some of them trying to keep their place, and some of them just trying to make sure they get that securement into the playoffs this season. So after Gateway, I think after what was an intense race with the super late models, we get to have ourselves another crazy shootout, this time with the Xfinity cars at Charlotte.
And Jacob, I think that's what we were kind of talking about to wrap up the broadcast last week, was kind of more of a, I guess call it return to form or normalcy here with the Xfinity cars at a very familiar place. I think a lot of these drivers probably live pretty close to this racetrack, so both in terms of real life and virtual, this is a very familiar combo, I think, for a lot of these drivers tonight.
Blake, I've had this place circled on the calendar for about a month now. Since I was in Charlotte a month ago and we had the week off for Memorial Day, this place is so fun to watch racing at. After watching the Xfinity cars here during the daytime, watching the ARCA cars here in that kind of twilight period, the sun's still out, the track still has the heat in it. As nighttime starts to get closer and closer, these guys are out of control. The racing is so good here. Watching these guys fight for every spot that they can. I can't wait to see how that translates tonight, because you have a lot of guys in this session that have real-world experience at this racetrack, and we're here recently within the last month. I'm really curious to see how that real-world experience here for guys like Ryan Vargas and Rajah Caruth is going to carry over into tonight, because so far they seem to be the fastest guys in town.
There are definitely a lot of these drivers who are either on track or in the infield when the NASCAR National Touring Series and, of course, the ARCA Menard Series came here just a month ago. But why don't we go ahead and get you caught up on all that happened last week at Gateway? Because, again, there's only so many words we could try to put it in. Let's take a look. Well, I don't know. That might, honestly, tonight, the way things have gone, that might be the safest spot to be. Either that or up front, where George Belfans Jr. brings them in the next move, Columbus restart zone, green flag in the air. And another good launch for Belfans, gets out by about a car length over Robbie Lyons. So 1-2 clear, into 1 and 2. Will Rogers trying to hold on for third.
Great run for Robbie Lyons now in the second spot. Caution, they're wrecking again. It's Rajah Caruth who goes around. He tried to go 3 wide, and this one's just a mess because Adam Cabot gets blocked to the grass by Michael Massey, who is 25 laps down, and then he comes up the racetrack and swerves into Rajah Caruth, who's trying to pass him on the outside. I don't get it.
There's been a lot of it's been a lot of these wrecks around with drivers who are in the back but feel like they shouldn't be there. We've had a number of those. SVG earlier, I think Cabot's been involved in 1 or 2. Caruth honestly did. I mean, he's just on the top side rolling. He didn't do anything wrong there, but it seems like time and time again, we've seen a lot of drivers who were running up front. They get put to the back of the field because of a penalty or a wreck or what have you. And there's been a lot of those type of wrecks, them trying to make it 3 wide, 4 wide, being really aggressive on these restarts. And it's been tough to get going here in the back of the field as a result.
Yeah, I think we're getting 1 to green here this time by, so
we are. The lights have gone out. So we'll have 8 laps to go when we get this restart.
Is there anybody you like here to win?
George Belfans looks like he is in the best spot because all he has to do is get a restart, get a little bit of a lead, and then kind of, wait for him to crash and just hold pretty up there. I mean, Bickford basically did the same thing until we had that one long green flag run. He got his penalty, has never recovered from it, although he is in 12th. But, yeah, it seems like if you're the leader, all you got to do is get a good restart, wait a couple seconds, and wait till the next one.
Still watch Landon Huffman and James Bickford, 10th and 12th respectively. They're not out of this yet, and the way we're going, we're using all 3 overtimes, so they're not done by any stretch here.
I don't think anybody's out of it right now. If you're on the lead lap, you still got a chance at this thing. Green flag is out. Belfans, another great launch for that 94 machine. Lions, clear for second. Rogers, though, gets clear for third. He'll look low on Lions, not able to make it work. Down there near the rumble strips is Rogers, and how about Nick Olson, who's been hanging around quietly, right now runs in 4th.
Yeah, Olson got involved in one of those early wrecks, but he has clawed his way back. As here comes Leighton Sabile, as Will Rogers is going for second on Robbie Lyons. He's got the inside line. He's got all the room in the world. Put back 55 in position number 2, coming to 7 to go.
Will Rogers shot out of a cannon there, looking for second, looking for more. He'll go low once again on Lions. And Will Rogers looks to have a lot of speed in that 55 car. They're going to be side by side as Belfans gets loose off the corner. 3 wide for the lead.
I can't believe that he held on to that car. Olsen to second. Here comes Sabile down on the bottom. Gabe Wood has to check up. He gets hit by Shothouse. And now Landon Huffman gets turned hard into the outside wall. And we are under caution with 7 laps to go. He got turned by Bailey Turner and then overcorrected it into the outside wall. And Landon's taken off. He is unhappy. He is flying through this field down the front straightaway right now. I think he's going after the 5. He is still going.
I think you're right. I think
I've never seen him this mad unless he's going after somebody.
I mean, he hasn't slowed down a whole lot. Yeah,
here he comes. Now he backs off.
Oh, no, he doesn't. He's going to turn him under caution.
He hit him. He hit him. They wreck under caution. Landon is furious with Bailey Turner. And Landon Huffman has been disqualified. He's gone.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. A little bit of...
I mean, you saw it coming. Landon said that he thought he had one of the best shots to win tonight. And man, he's just... I get the frustration. I really do.
I think Devin Henry just had a neat little point. I don't think it's a good thing that that Huffman was spectating Bowman Gray this weekend. I think he may have learned a thing or two in Winston-Salem on Saturday night.
Yeah, he is furious. Bailey Turner given the EOL for causing the caution. And wowza.
All right. Well, through all of that, it is not going to be George Belfans Jr. who is your race leader. He lost it off the corner. Will Rogers now controlling the top spot. Lights are still on the pace car. So I believe when we get going back, assuming we get the 1 to green this time, and we will have 3 laps to go, and it will not eat into one of our 3 overtime attempts.
Yeah, looks like not quite a natural green-white checker either. So this'll be it. We either make it through this, or we go to overtime.
I think he actually just caught up. Let's see here. I'll get a quick word here from Landon Huffman before we go green. A quick talk here, Landon, before Green flag is out, and Will Rogers able to scurry away here, side by side now for second.
Here comes Robbie Lyons on that inside line. Leighton Sabile not done yet. How about David Schildhouse up on the outside? He has been in the top 5 since the drop of the green flag. As here comes the 43 of Sabile to the bottom. He looks, he can't quite get on Robbie Lyons. They are 5 wide further back, still side by side for second.
Side by side back there if we get to the white flag, which will not be this time. 2 laps to go. Rogers clear, but there is a Hornets Nest back there for second. Lions trying to hang on. Olsen has the top.
Still side by side, and this is what Will Rogers wants to see. How about Schildhouse? He's going to look up the middle, 3 wide, just doesn't have room, and Lyons is sideways to the grass. He's off the racing surface. He's going to lose all of those spots. He's going to lose his shot to win this race. Nick Olsen in second. Here comes Schildhouse. He sends it to the bottom as they're coming to the white flag.
Again, all several car lengths behind Will Rogers. Off at turn number 4 for the final time. White flag in the air, so we will see it through to the end. We'll go all the way to the checkered. One more trip around the Worldwide Technology Raceway for Robbie Lyons, as a lot is going on behind him for those 2nd, 3rd, and 4th spots.
Will Rogers only has 1 MNR win in his career, looking to add to it here tonight as he comes down into turn number 3. He is cleared by 10 car lengths as Schildhouse looks to the inside for second. Can't get to Nick Olsen coming through turn 4.
Not going to be enough for Olsen or Schildhouse. Is clear and set home. Will Rogers, for the 2nd time in his career, is a Monday Night Racing Pro Series winner as he checks out here in the last 3 laps. Will Rogers for Space Station Gaming goes to victory lane, and he will lock himself into the Monday Night Racing playoffs.
We made it.
We did, and Rogers made the move when he needed to. I mean, George Belfans Jr. looked to be in control of this race, got a little bit loose, but Rogers, on those short runs that we had, was able to kind of make sure he got a spot each and every time and slowly found himself at the front of the field. And back with you here from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Again, those were highlights from last week's race where Will Rogers joined the playoff field by securing himself a win just in time before the regular season starts to wind down to its conclusion. But, of course, one of our favorite segments that we get to do every single week is we get to discuss and get to know a little bit more about our drivers in this field. And luckily enough, our very own Devin Henry this week was able to catch up with Fox 46 Charlotte's own Brett Baldeck. So let's take a look and see a little bit of what Brett Baldeck has going on around the Charlotte area.
He is one of the voices of Queen City, our favorite Charlotte news reporter, Queen City News' own Brett Baldeck. You are known by so many in the motorsports community and the Charlotte, North Carolina community, and you are always on TV. We love to see you on the telly, but hey, how did you get to where you are today? And why being a news reporter? Why is that the career?
I think it was like middle school. My middle school English teacher suggested I become a journalist. My first job right out of college was Bowling Green, Kentucky. And then I stayed there for a year and went to Springfield, Illinois. And then in 2016, Charlotte came calling and I moved down to Charlotte. But the best part is, all 3 cities where I worked, I always found a motorsports angle to cover. I'm on our morning show now, which started a year and a half ago. They moved me to that. So I typically will wake up at either 4 a.m. or 2 a.m., depending on what shift or what day it is. And I go into work and I front a story that I've already shot and edited.
So there were no issues on the track this week, but I think we have some video. Yesterday, during the final hour of testing, they were able to practice live pit stops.
And then kind of rinse and repeat every day. So basically, if you're watching my newscast on a Tuesday and you see me fronting a story Tuesday morning, I shot, wrote, and edit that story the day before.
Where did your love of racing come from in the first place to make you someone who is always looking for that motorsports angle now in the news industry?
I didn't grow up in a motorsports family. No one in my family raced. I never raced. but I'm from originally Rochester, New York, and my dad in the 90s, when I was just a little kid, worked at Kodak. So every Sunday I'd watch NASCAR with my dad, because since he worked at Kodak, he would cheer on the Kodak car, because Kodak was headquartered in Rochester. So even if it was Shirley Marlin or Ernie Irvan, whoever it was, later years Brendan Gaughan, whenever NASCAR came to Watkins Glen, the Kodak driver would always come up to Rochester and the Kodak headquarters.
Do you have any awards or accolades since you've been here in Charlotte?
I go to the National Motorsports Press Association awards every year because I'm a member. So this year was a little different. They basically gave out awards for the past 2 years because we couldn't have one in 2021 because of the pandemic. So I won first place for Best Motorsports Spot News for my coverage after Ryan Newman had that horrible wreck at the finish line.
Ryan Newman and Corey LaJoie's cars were brought here to the R&D Center this morning.
After the race finished, the next day in Charlotte, I went over to the R&D Center and just kind of did this story about where his car is now, what's happening to the car, where NASCAR goes from here. And at the time, I didn't think it was award worthy, but I saved it. And the people that judge it thought it was award worthy. And I appreciated that because I literally did everything myself that day. I ran my own live shot. I was running my own camera. I edited everything. I wrote everything. There was no one, I didn't have a cameraman with me that day because we were short staffed. But I really thought it was important for us to be live at the R&D Center, and I was lucky enough that it won me an award. And I appreciated that they gave me that award because, like I said, I didn't think that I was going to win an award. That's not why I'm in this business, to win awards. But it was nice that they thought it was something that was award.
Again, a very interesting look right there at Brett Baldeck. You've seen him running a number of times in Monday Night Racing pretty much since its inception. We're lucky enough to be caught up with him right now as cars are still on the track. The last couple of moments of practicing going on. And Brett, the first thing I kind of want to ask you about is what has been your favorite part of being able to cover NASCAR? I know you live in the Charlotte area, so you're right in the middle of everything. What's your favorite part about being involved with this industry and being able to cover a sport that you love so much?
Just the fact that I was welcomed kind of with open arms. I moved to Charlotte 6 years ago, not knowing anybody. And then I was like a lost puppy dog the first time I had to cover a race at Charlotte Motor Speedway. But just once you get to know people, they kind of just welcome you with open arms. And it's a sport I grew up, I love watching, and I always wanted to be involved and be a journalist. I'm not quite to the goal that I've reached yet on the journalism part, but it's just cool to be able to be at the track. Like, I can work usually 13, 14 hours at the track, and it's like I never complain. Like, I love being there. I'll work there 24 hours straight if I want to. It's just a lot of fun for me. I enjoy it. And just being around cars, I just love it.
You certainly do, and not just being around cars, but being around Monday Night Racing as well. You're one of the top 10 drivers in terms of all-time career starts. So what is it that kind of attracted you to this league very early on? I know we've been around for a number of seasons at this point. We're already on season 5. But what's kind of kept you coming back, or what was your initial draw to this league in the first place?
So when I got iRacing, I was kind of late because I knew about iRacing for 10 years or so. And then the hard shutdown of the pandemic happened. And I finally pulled the trigger and decided to join iRacing. And then within like a month and a half of being on the service, obviously I'm active on Twitter for my job and just because it's kind of part of my, like I said, part of my career. And I keep seeing Monday Night Racing popping up on Twitter. And I finally decided, let me just tweet at these guys. I don't know who they were at the time. Let me tweet these guys and be like, hey, can I join? And they just said yes. So I joined. And back then, I didn't even have a microphone. I couldn't talk to them, couldn't communicate with them or anything. I've come a long way, but they just let me come in. And it's been cool just to race. You know, we used to race with Kyle Busch a lot, which obviously I grew up watching him and not covering him as a reporter. And it's just cool to race with some of these guys. And it's also, I mean, for me, like mental health, relaxation to be able to race on Mondays because this job that I have is tough. It can be tough sometimes. So Mondays are awful. So being able to look forward to something on a Monday night that's fun is really nice.
I'm sure having something to look forward to on Monday, that's great, and I know that very well. I've had different times in sim racing where leagues are on Tuesday or Wednesdays. You have something to look forward to. But as far as being involved, so you're relatively new to iRacing, at least in terms of the past 2 years. So what's kind of the progression been like, trying to learn the cars, trying to learn everything, and trying to get up to speed with a lot of drivers who have a lot of experience both in the real world and in the virtual world?
Yeah, I'll be the first to admit I'm still learning. My first big event was like 3 months after I got iRacing. I did the Firecracker 400 that Josh Parker and David Shieldhouse put on. I did the first year they did it. I did that, and I actually almost qualified for the race. Surprised myself. Drove the Kodak car, which you guys covered in that story. I mean, I would love. I can probably see a little bit of it right now if you're on my camera, but my rig is just like a desk with like the steering wheel connected to it. I'd love to be able to get one of those ones that is like $1,000 because I think maybe it'd improve my racing. But just being in this league, I've learned a lot. Just not over driving and taking it easy. I will say the first time I got the service and I hopped in, and you have to start a rookie class, and I hadn't simmed raced in 10 years, and they threw me at Legend Car, Charlotte Motor Speedway with all these other new people. I was freaking out, but now I don't get nervous anymore when I get in the car, just drive. My iRating's up to over 1,000 or over 2,000, which is good for me, not good for other people. But once you get over 2,000, it's harder because these people on the sim are really, really good. And I try to learn as much as I can from other people. That's what I kind of do in this league is I'll follow people. I'm usually in the back, but if cautions come out, I usually try and get up front and then just kind of follow along and see if I can learn from other people.
All right, but before we let you go, any last minute kind of strategy, any game plan that you have going into tonight?
Yeah, I mean, this Charlotte is, even in real life, it's hard to pass. I don't know what it is. It's a 1.5 mile track, but I just feel like it's less wide and you're going a lot faster. There's really not a lot of room for mistakes. So tonight, I think it's going to be all about track position, avoiding the cautions, although we had to sit down this week and we're going to try to avoid as many wrecks. But I mean, it's a 1.5 mile track, but it's a tough track. It's not like a Chicago or Kansas. So I really hope just to keep my nose clean tonight and track position. If people pit, I may stay out. You may see that tonight.
All right, so Brett Baldeck potentially going to play the flip side of the strategy tonight. We'll have to wait and see. Well, Brett, you got a couple minutes left. We'll let you get another lap in or two, and obviously look forward to see how that number 4 Toyota runs tonight. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Have a good broadcast.
All right, we will let Brett Baldeck and the rest of the field get down to work, get their last few laps of practice in, because on the other side of this break, we get to run the Sim Seats 120 tonight at Charlotte. We'll be right back right after this.
This is an Interstate battery. More pros trust this than any other out there. Yeah, more pros. More. Even more pros. Keep going. Mas. Look, we're gonna run out of time before we run out of pros who like Interstate. I mean, we'll run out of time before we even run out of left-handed pros who knit. These pros are everywhere, which means so is this battery. Right around the corner, up the street, everywhere. Interstate batteries, outrageously dependable.
Visit our website at toughgoflooring.com.
Welcome back to the Charlotte Motor Speedway as we get set here in just a couple of moments to get the SimSeats 120 underway from iRacing's virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway. Blake McCandless, Kenneth Bueno, and Jacob Hitz on the call with you tonight. Ryan Bauer down in the virtual production trailer, and our cameras, of course, provided by Dougie Beard. But while these drivers are in the midst of qualifying at the moment, let's go ahead and get our booth picks out of the way. Now, unfortunately, Kenneth, you weren't able to join us last week, so we'll let you go ahead and start things off this week. Who do you think tames a track that many of these drivers are oh so familiar with?
Well, Blake, I'm a man of stats, I'm a man of trends, and the stats lean me to the driver of the 13 tonight, Raja Karuth. Of course, we haven't seen him get to victory lane here in Season 5 of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series, presented by Interstate Batteries, but one thing to note about the driver of the 13 is that last time we visited a track with the Xfinity Series cars, this driver was the winner, Raja Karuth, and by the way, he leads the all-time category for most wins in the Xfinity Series car in MNR history with 3. So if there's any driver that's good at this type of car, it's Raja Karuth. He's going to get his first win of Season 5 tonight and edge his way into the 2022 playoffs.
Plenty of stats to back that up, as well as the eye test. I can't remember anybody who was driving harder when they ran here about a month ago at Charlotte. That was Raja Karuth in the Arca Menard series, driving through Speedy Dry and just wheeling the heck out of that race car. Wouldn't be shocked at all if he were to go to victory lane tonight. Jacob, we'll go ahead and move to you. Who do you got tonight?
Yeah, he was wrecking every single lap when we were here for the ARCA race. I'm going to just throw stats completely out the window. Normally I look at them. This week, I'm going solely by the eye test. What I see in practice, I'm going with Ryan Vargas. Vargas qualified pretty well here when the Xfinity Series ran here about a month ago. Had some misfortune along the way. There was an accident in front of him. He went down through the grass and did a little bit of off-roading and unfortunately kind of broke the car. So he was just struggling along the rest of the night. But Ryan Vargas, he's looking to return back to the playoffs. Right now, looking at the point situation, he's in by 11. He sits in P10. He's going to lock himself in tonight. Give me Ryan Vargas.
All right, Jacob with Ryan Vargas, Kenneth with Raja Karuth. And I'm going to use a couple of numbers to back this pickup as well. I'm going to go with my man Garrett Smithley, currently with 3 career M&R wins. That puts him 6th on the all-time list, and somebody that's very familiar with this Charlotte Motor Speedway and is very consistent in this series. Had a great run going last week at Gateway before a little bit of trouble there under the caution flag with Raja Karuth. We had a well-chronicled beef-off, if you will, up here in the broadcast booth, but I think Smithley able to put that behind him, put that 15 Rick Ware Racing Ford up front. I'm taking Garrett Smithley tonight to go to victory lane here at Charlotte. So there you have it. And as the drivers continue to just about wrap things up here, we'll pause and reflect on God and country with the playing of our national anthem.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight over the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave?
Thank you very much for the playing of our national anthem as we are just in the final few moments of qualifying here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And as the clock winds down, it's going to end, and that will wrap things up here tonight. And you can see the starting grid at the bottom of your screen. It is now confirmed James Bickford is going to sit on pole tonight. 30.350 seconds in these Xfinity cars at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. A great lap there for James Bickford, who has gone to victory lane a couple of times this season, and he will win the Roasted Gems Coffee Pole Award over Malik Ray, and NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series star. Wouldn't be shocked to see him go to victory lane tonight either. He will start on the outside of row number 1. Row number 2, you'll find Will Rogers on the inside, last week's winner, as well as Garrett Smithley, who will roll off from 4th. Presley Sora, a couple of wins to his name so far this season. He will start in 5th. Gabe Wood, strong qualifying run out of that number 50 team for JD Motorsports. He'll start in 6th. Corey Heim, glad that he could join us tonight in the number 51. He will start in 7th. 8th will go to the number 24 of Nick Olson out of the Road to Glory series last season. Ryan Vargas, looking to start 9th and have a strong run tonight. And Gary Sexton, Kenneth, will round out the top 10.
It's my pick, Raja Karuth, who starts P11 tonight in that 13 Chevrolet Camaro. He'll have Max Kennan to his outside in the 21 to ride up row number 6. Brad Perez out of Hollywood, Florida in the 60 car starts 13th. He'll have Colin Fern on his outside to the top 14. Lane Sabile, we saw his star performance at Talladega. We'll see what he can do on an intermediate this time, rounding out the top 15 with Brandon Brown to his outside in P16. It is Seminole, Florida's Robbie Lyons in the 2, who starts inside P17. In row number 9, Bailey Turner will be on his outside in P18. Final drivers within the top 20 include the 95 George Balfans Jr. and the 07-year league owner Ford Martin for Crypto Autosport. Jacob?
The 01 and the 10 make up row number 11. Joshua Slayton, DJ Cummings. Devin Henry, our very own, starts in 23rd. And the third place finisher from a week ago, David Schildhaus, lines up on the outside. Reed Wilson and Steve Affont will make up row number 13. Good to have Reed back with us. Dakota Curtis and Brett Baldeck line up in row number 14. Adam Cabot, the reigning series champ, lines up alongside Matt Staldeck, rounding out our top 30.
It'll be Charlie Brown in 31st. Michael Massey will leave from the 32nd starting spot tonight. 33rd will be Justin Melillo. He'll look to make his way forward. Mike Clay will start in 34th. 35th goes to Case Collenbach. 36th is Mark Revelis. And Seth Eggert, the lone driver out of the 37 who showed up tonight, he'll make up row 19. He did not put a time down in qualifying. So 37 cars set to do battle here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway tonight, as we'll take a look at our weather coming up here for this race. Relatively cool conditions in this race. You see the sun has fully set behind the grandstands here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. As Kenneth, we'll take a look at our Interstate Batteries weather.
Yeah, we got a beautiful sunset evening here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's relatively warm, but we are in the middle of summer here in Charlotte, North Carolina, so no surprise. We've got surprisingly warm air temps at 80 degrees Fahrenheit, track temp around 79. It was 3 degrees warmer in practice, but it is 79 to start, 9 miles per hour. To the southwest here in North Carolina, humidity at 55%. The clouds are hanging over this Charlotte Motor Speedway, but it is still a beautiful sight. We're going to go under the lights here tonight from Charlotte, so it's going to be a great night of racing.
Changing track conditions, going to have to keep up with this racetrack as that sun sets and the track continues to cool off. And Jacob, take a look at our SimSeats 120 race analysis.
120 laps up on the board. Fuel load, it's actually 80% inside the race cars, not 100. So the fuel tank's only 80% capacity, so fuel mileage could become a factor later on in this thing. They have 3 sets of tires on pit road. As per usual, the one faster pair. 3 attempts at a green-white checker. Now, before we go any further, we should mention some of the changes that have gone on after last week's race at Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway. If you cause a caution, you no longer get an EOL penalty. The rule still is in place. You get 2 incident points, you cause 2 wrecks, and you're out. You're disqualified for the race. No more unlimited waiver rounds under caution. You get one wave around. Well, actually, I lied. You get no wave arounds. How about this? The lucky dog rule, and that's it. First car lap down gets their lap back. Otherwise, you're stuck a lap down unless you pass the leader to get back on the lead lap or what have you. And that's about it as far as we'll see on this surface as far as rule changes are concerned to how the race functions. So if you see something different tonight, that's why things were changed.
Certainly so. I think the biggest note in that, Jacob, is the fact that if you are deemed the cause of a caution, you are not automatically put at the tail end of the field if it is your first caution of the night. That is a big change, and I think we may see that play out here a couple of times here tonight for this Sim Seats 120. 120 laps, 180 miles set to be contested here tonight as James Bickford for the Charlotte Phoenix will work into the BST Shocks restart zone. Green flag in the air, and we are racing here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. One car is slow through 3 and 4, and I thought it was going to be Malik Ray, who was issued a black flag initially, but apparently it is clear, so perhaps a mistaken black flag. The restart is under review, so we'll get word on if there is a penalty there with the start between James Bickford and Malik Ray on that initial start. However, Ray at the moment settled for second. Presley Sora trying to make some ground on the top side for third.
It's going to be a big development here, Blake, if Malik and Bickford both get the penalty. Of course, Bickford is already locked in via the wins in Season 5, so no worries there. But Malik, of course, trying to contest for this win tonight from Charlotte. So far, no official decision from race control, so we will stay as clean as always. And they have simmered down for third. Presley Sora made the outside work on Will Rogers. And now you see about even further behind that is Ryan Vargas trying to work against Corey Heim in the 51.
And actually, Bickford is going to come down pit road with the black flag. So James Bickford tagged with a restart, or I guess the initial start violation. And Kenneth, that is a rule that you cannot violate, that for the initial start of the race, you have to wait until the green flag is displayed. Otherwise, you enter the restart zone. You can go whenever you want for a restart, but on the initial green flag, you have to wait for the flag man to start the race. Bickford jumped it in the restart zone, and he is going to serve the consequences right now down pit road.
Looking back on it, Bickford went earlier than Malik Ray. I'm trying to figure out how exactly Malik got flagged for it, because he definitely went about halfway through the restart zone. Now, if the restart zone isn't in effect, as one car bounces it off the wall coming off turn 2, that's George Balfans Jr. Gary Saxon has to duck for cover down to the apron. But George Balfans Jr. bounces it off the fence. He's had a couple of good runs so far this season. He's stuck back in 15th. Doesn't seem like that right side damage is too bad for the 94, as Malik Ray continues to scoot away out in front.
Ray showing the pace right here, and you're going back to, yeah, Malik Ray was initially given a black flag, but I tend to think that he was just reacting to what James Bickford, you see the leader go, guess what, that's indicator number 1, that you put the throttle down. So you see James Bickford there, who currently rides around. He's 1 lap down. He sees the field behind him. He could go a 2nd lap down. He would be the lucky dog if a caution were to come out at this point, but would need a yellow flag to happen right now. Pretty spread out at the moment, single file, as one car looks like he got a little high off of turn number 2. That was Gabe Wood in the 50, who will fall a couple of spots back to around the 10th position. But so far, they have settled things out here pretty quickly, as Presley Sora looking to challenge Malik Ray for the lead.
Yeah, of course, and you talk about the whole restart zone thing, and with the decision to go on initial start on green, you have to remember that some drivers do forget, and for Bickford there was a little mistake that's going to cost him big time. Of course, if a caution does come out, it's going to help him significantly, but right now, far back in the field. Most of the field pretty much single file, and there was a battle between the top 10 between Raja Caruth and Leighton Sabile. Of course, Leighton Sabile, first time we see him, I believe, since Talladega, where he almost went to victory lane here, just short of the win against Anthony Alfredo to the start-finish line. But good to see the 43 back in action here in the Monday Night Racing Pro Series as he tries to work on the rear bumper of the 13. And so far, not going to be able to do so. Actually, we'll go to the outside. So a different detour here for Sabile, and it may work for P8.
Well, and Leighton has put on some shows here as of recent and is joined about a trio of drivers who have made up about 5 or 6 spots since we dropped the green flag. Brad Perez, you ride on board with him. You can look out and see Caruth and Sabile battling side by side. Perez is up 6 positions. Caruth is up 3. Sabile is up 6 spots in these opening 10 laps. So a number of drivers who have cracked into the top 10, making up some ground early. Sabile trying to make the high side work, and he is doing it awfully well. Got to the outside of Caruth, may have tagged the wall just a little bit off at turn 2, so he'll check up and fall back in line behind the 13 car. But Sabile trying to make that high side work. Go where they're not, Jacob, I think is the mantra there. You could get a little bit of clean air there if you run up high.
Yeah, may have. He definitely got the wall, and that's going to open the door for Gabe Wood behind him in that 50. He's going to look to the bottom and get right on that quarter panel going down through 1 and 2. He's going to look to the inside and try everything he can. They'll be side by side off the corner.
Gabe Wood down to the bottom, and you could see a little bit of a wiggle. Wood reacts to that, goes all the way to the bottom of the track, and Sabile not going to put up much of a fight as Wood able to hold on to that spot. Gabe has lost 4 spots since the drop of the green. Who you're riding on board with right now, that is the number 2 of Robbie Lyons just behind this battle. He started 17th. He's already up into the 11th spot. So Robbie Lyons, solid job picking off a few positions here to start this one since the drop of the green flag. One driver I'm kind of surprised by, though, at least when we're looking at the running order, it's somebody who was so strong if all of season 4, started off with a win and did not have the effort that I would have expected. That is David Schildhaus, who right now runs in 22nd, started in 24th, had a great run last week, was able to finish in 3rd, but this has not been the season 5, I think, Kenneth, that David was expecting. Currently trying to crack his way up into the top 20, but it has been hard to come by so far for David Schildhaus here in season 5.
Yeah, that's definitely true, but you could also say the same for the driver right in front of him, the black and neon yellow Chevrolet Camaro, your defending champion, Adam Cabot. Things have not gone well, surprisingly enough, for your former Championship 4 drivers, and as Schildhaus tries to move through the mid-pack, also another Championship 4 driver in sight on the outside of Cabot, Colin Fern, all 3 of them not having the greatest of seasons after their championship run just 1 season back. So right now they're just trying to pick up the pieces at the start of this race, but at the same time, it's only lap 14. You've still got a lot of race left. There's still could be a long run that will at least unfold at some point if you can get there, although there was almost a caution with Ford Martin. They're 4 wide coming to turn 3. Martin, I believe, got the outside wall, had to swerve down low. Devin Henry is up top, and it's a mess around P21 on back.
They are tight off of turn number 4. Schildhaus in the middle of that sandwich as you see them scatter around, all reacting to Ford Martin, who got a little bit out of shape there off of turn number 2, stacked them up going into 3, and this is the ensuing reaction to that. Cummings on the bottom. You can see DJ Cummings running on the bottom side of the racetrack. Devin Henry, our very own, currently leading that line. It looks like they've sorted things out here for the most part. Even right behind them, you see Brandon Brown. Good to see him back here. The Sim Seats colors on the hood of that Toyota. So a gaggle of cars here, and again, this is all for about the 20th spot here behind Ford Martin. Work into turn number 2 once again. Schildhaus able to clear Martin, who I think is ailing. Oh, Cummings hits the outside wall off at turn 2, and look, you can see the damage on the nose of Ford Martin, and undoubtedly DJ Cummings just definitely picked up some damage after hitting the outside wall. We've seen a number of drivers hit that outside wall off at turn number 2. So far, so good. Lap 17 on the board, still under the green flag, and we have been since the initial start, Kenneth.
And right now we're seeing a lot of drivers already starting to at least get frustrated with the cars right now. Of course, the tires are wearing as of lap 17, and some drivers have already struck the outside wall. Ford Martin gives way. They're 3 wide around the mid-pack in 23rd. Here's another battle.
Oh, Martin might be blowing up. Martin is off the pace in 3 and 4. He's got damage on the nose. I wonder if he's starting to overheat. He is going to come to pit road.
He immediately, coming down the back straightaway, he came over the radio and said, pitting, 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 pitting. So not quite sure if, yeah, it looks like overheating from the damage that he made with that 77 when he made contact coming off turn 2. I was trying to talk and was wondering why you were talking over me, because couldn't hear me. That's why. It was Devin Henry that hit the outside wall. Ford Martin was right behind him, hit the back of him. That's why Ford had the front end damage. He pits, uses his fast repair, and Devin Henry, if you look out the back end of his car, the rear end of his car is caved in because of the contact with Ford Martin. So that explains everything. We got it all figured out. There you see the damage, at least on the spoiler, as they're going to go by through turn number 1, and you'll see Ford Martin right there on the apron.
Now Martin is 1 lap down. He will take the lucky dog away from James Bickford, who is still 1 lap down. Bickford has actually managed to pull away quite and build up quite a gap between he and Malik Ray. So Bickford trying to stay 1 lap down. Unfortunately, Ford Martin would take the free pass if a caution were to come out. You could see the big gap. Bickford coming off of turn number 2 right now, and you see the distance that has been built between he and Malik Ray, who still has control of the race lead. Ray up by about 2 or 3 car lengths over Presley Sora in 2nd. Will Rogers still holding on to 3rd. They are side by side for 4th, as Garrett Smithley and how about Corey Hyman made up a couple of spots and starting to work his way forward.
And no surprise that Malik Ray is doing so well. I mean, if you look back to the Charlotte race in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, Ray was in a spot to win in the final laps. Of course, fuel saving had a factor in that. Ray was not able to go to victory lane, but you see him leading the field, and the onboard look from Corey Heim, multi-time ARCA winner. Not going to be the outside here of Will Rogers, and trying to follow in the tracks of Garrett Smithley. This time we'll run the middle, and now we're seeing, Blake, a lot more experimentation. Drivers looking up high, drivers looking down low, drivers looking to stay in the middle. So things are changing as the track is changing right now, and as the sun is setting here over Charlotte. How about Roger Caruth making a 4-car race for a position there in the turn 1?
Well, as these tires start to wear, this track really opens up. You get a lot of grip down there on the paint on that blue line that lines the bottom of the Charlotte Motor Speedway. You have that seam, especially in 3 and 4, that can make up a little bit of time. And you saw Caruth nearly kiss the wall there in turns 1 and 2, especially down there in 1 and 2. It is wide open. A little bumpier here in 3 and 4, so a little more difficult to make that high side work. It's usable, but a little bit harder to make some speed if you're going to run up there, but a good battle taking place right now. Smithley hanging on to 3rd. Corey Heim wants it. Down to the bottom of the racetrack, side by side they'll go. Smithley hanging tough on the top side, but Corey Heim has had a good 51 Toyota as he goes to the bottom. His first start of the year, and he's looking solid here, trying to make his way by Garrett Smithley.
And Rajah Caruth is no stranger to the outside line here. That's what he was running during that ARCA race here about a month ago when he had the speed, and it just got evil loose on him by the time things got said and done. But there goes Corey Heim right by Garrett Smithley to move that 51 car into P3. Great little start for Corey Heim, who's got 2 wins already this season in the Camping World Truck Series, and here he is now inside the top 3.
Heim able to make his way by into that 3rd spot, but remember back to a week ago at Gateway, Kenneth, that was Rajah Caruth and Garrett Smithley who were none too happy with one another, or at least Smithley on the receiving end of that, and here they are. It always seems to happen, right? That driver that you're not so happy with, you either line up in the truck with them for pre-race ceremonies, or you have to race them. And right now Smithley and Caruth separated by about a car length. Caruth, the faster of those two at the moment, as you ride with Max Kinnon right now, running a little bit further back in the 11th position, a former winner this year. Kinnon not having to worry about too much tonight, but Caruth starting to chase down Garrett Smithley ever so slightly into turn 1.
And that's the magic, Blake, about racing and sim racing as well, is that when you have beef with somebody alongside the competition, you get to see them the very next week and race them all over again. It isn't like other stick and ball sports where you see them once and then you won't see them for a couple months and then the beef will probably simmer down. No, you get to see them 1 week right after you just had an argument with them. So Carruth trying to make sure he gets the best out of the two right now, although has not been able to muster a pass so far on the 15. There you see the Sim Seats car, the 13, Roger Carruth just falling back just a little bit off of the 15, and they have single filed out. Brad Perez was under fire for a moment behind for P6 by Will Rogers, but that has since calmed down as well, and Perez is holding down P6 right now, trying to catch up. Maybe in more side-by-side battling. We saw Max Kennan looking over to Nick Olsen, trying to get by him. Well, now Olsen's trying to get by Vargas into turn 3. We'll have a nose ahead.
Vargas hanging strong there in the middle, as Vargas has been in the same spot that he started 9th, runs there at the moment. Now he runs 10th as Nick Olsen able to make his way on by, and he'll try to get one more is Maxwell Kennan, not quite able to do it. This 3-car battle happening for that 9th spot as Kennan, you can see the great drive that he gets off at 2. Vargas a little bit loose there. He moves up the racetrack. They'll go side by side into turn 3. I'd say Kennan has that preferred line on the bottom, but we'll see if Vargas can hold strong on the top, and it looks like for the moment he does.
Yeah, Kennan bobbled a little bit right there in the middle of turn number 3 and 4, and I think that's what allowed Vargas to get the better run on the high side. It just seems like Vargas has the better car on the short run, and now that we're in a long run, just about 30 laps complete so far, he has struggled as he almost gets into the back of the 21. That's going to open the door for that 17 of Adam Cabot. He's gained 17 spots since the drop of the green flag. He started in 29th, and here he goes now looking for P11.
Cabot down to the bottom. You could see running right on that blue line, trying to take every bit of grip that is in that paint to rotate that car and be able to get that pass done. Up front, though, we may have a change for the lead here developing as Malik Ray, Presley Sora. I got to give credit right now to Presley Sora. It is not easy to keep up with these eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series drivers, and Sora has chased down Malik Ray, been faster the last handful of laps, has pulled right up to the back bumper. It's a different animal to try and fully complete the pass, but I gotta say, even for the time being, we're 30 laps into this run, I am very impressed with Presley Sora and the fact that he has been hanging tight with Malik Ray, who by virtue of being in that series, Kenneth, I mean, he is one of the best to do it, and Sora right now holding his own right behind him.
And this is just another moment added to the proving ground that has been Presley Sora's Monday Night Racing rookie season. I mean, already came out the gates and got the win with Martinsville Speedway, the MX-5s, and then came right back at it, won with the Radicals of Texas, and Presley Sora has been on fire since, and right now is just keeping Malik Ray a little bit cautious right now. That time set a faster lap, 32.274 for the 98 in comparison to Ray's 32.323. So Sora is there. He's putting a lot of pressure. But one thing to note, lap cars are coming. There's some drivers right in front that may pick into this battle just a little bit, but Sora and Ray pretty much in their own league, and the rookie driver trying to stand up against the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series veteran.
A couple of different factors going to come into play here. You mentioned the lap traffic. You have just a handful or so that are about 1 or 2 seconds in front of this battle. You have Mark Rabillas, Case Collenbach, who has a significant amount of damage on the right side of his car. You have James Bickford, who, of course, is still trying to hang on and be that first car 1 lap down. He is still very far behind Ford Martin in terms of that lucky dog. But, Jacob, you talk about strategy here as we get longer into this run, a little bit of a shorter fuel cell, or at least running a little bit less fuel than we typically have right here. So you have to start to think in terms of strategy here. You're not going to be able to go too much further. So do you split this race up into thirds potentially? Because if that were the case, not going to be too much longer before we see a number of these drivers headed down pit road.
Well, and keep in mind here, pitting is not an easy task, especially under green at this racetrack. So you run the risk of starting green flag pit stops, and then they turn into caution flag pit stops. So these guys, I'm sure, have that lurking in the back of their minds as well. Just the fact that there could be a caution coming. You never quite know, especially when they're racing this hard. This is for 12th. This is Bailey Turner, Leighton Sabile, and Ryan Vargas. You've got Robbie Lyons gaining on these guys as well. This is the type of battle that will really determine, I think, for a guy like Ryan Vargas. If he can't keep up with these guys and they zoom right on past him, he's going to be looking for pit road as soon as he can. For somebody that's been marching through the field like Adam Cabot, he may wait a couple more laps before he decides to pull the trigger and head to pit road.
There's just a little bit of damage on the right front of Vargas, and with these Xfinity cars here in iRacing, they tend to be a little bit sensitive that any little bit of damage is going to upset the aerodynamics of that car, and I think that is what is hurting Ryan Vargas at the moment. Starting 9th and has fallen back to 14th, a little uncharacteristic here for driver number 6, as we do have some drivers that are starting to make their way down pit lane. Kenneth, you could see right there, DJ Cummings, one of our first takers in the midst of this green flag cycle.
Indeed, that is true, and of course, trying to assess some of the right side damage that he picked up early on in the race. Same deal for Colin.
Vargas got hit off of turn 4. He called out he was pitting. He got a little bit of a shot from Robert Lyons from behind. I don't know why I just said Robert, but nevertheless, Vargas was trying to make his way onto pit road. A little bit of a late call out, and that is one of the tough instances here at Charlotte, is you pretty much have to pit in the racing line. We'll see if Vargas tries it once again. You could see not a whole lot of warning there for Lyons, who was not expecting Vargas to come down pit road.
He was trying to call over the radio that he was pitting, but other guys were talking over the radio, so he couldn't get it out until the time he was at turn 4. So now he's on pit road, finally, after he has enough time and room to get down there. So he'll make his first green flag pit stop. Colin Fern made his first stop the same lap as Cummings, and everybody else staying on the racetrack. As I say that, Brett Baldeck is going to come down onto pit road and get service as well. So the pit window is open for these guys, and I'm feeling those in mid-pack are going to be coming down sooner than you think.
And it's not going to be too much longer if everybody's starting to short pit it by just a little bit. I'll be curious to see when Sora come down. Sora has lost a significant amount of time. That gap is about 1.5 seconds to your race leader in Malik Ray. You see Adam Cabot right there making a pass by Mark Rabillis, who currently goes 1 lap down. As we continue to march on here, no cautions to speak of yet. Another driver making their way onto pit road. It'll be Case Collenbach, who kind of arced it high and brought it back down low. An interesting way to enter pit lane here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. You see Cabot right there with Gabe Wood. They are currently battling for that 7th spot. But again, next couple of laps, pit road going to be a very busy place.
Yeah, it is. And we're going to expect a lot of drivers up at the front, probably to extend it a little longer than everybody else. So it is going to be a little waiting game, depending on who goes first. And it looks as though the top 3 are not coming in. There's Gabe Wood now finally hopping onto the brakes. So he's going to lose the battle against Adam Cabot. Max Kennan riding the inside wall. He voiced over the radio just a couple of moments before that saying he was pitting in. So he's going to join the 50 on the way down. We are in full swing of green flag pit stops. So we're just waiting for everybody up at the front to make their decision.
Dakota Curtis almost got wrecked, and Michael Massey saves it, maybe, yes. Oh my gosh, that was close. It all bottled up, and Brandon Brown, I think it was Brandon Brown at least, had no idea that Dakota Curtis was pitting until he got into the back of him and he was way off pace. Here's the replay. Brown just came off of pit road. Curtis drops down. He said he was coming in, and wham, gets into the back of him, and then up the hill he goes, and to Massey, who bounces it off the wall right as Josh Slate comes onto pit road and gets around all the chaos.
Big moment there from Massey. A number of others starting to make their way down pit lane. Corey Heim, Adam Cabot, David Schoenhaus, Robbie Lyons. You know, I guess if you say Robert, it sounds like I was calling into his room. You know, go to your room, son. Robbie Lyons came down pit road, came to the service of his crew. Gary Sexton just entered pit road as well. Malik Ray electing to stay out for the moment. I like the call here from Malik. You want to stay out as long as possible. I think if you have the pace that he has, you don't want to get trapped a lap down. Wouldn't be too difficult to stay out a little bit and ensure that in the midst of the cycle you're not going to go down a lap. Here comes Carruth. Man, Carruth is sailing it in. My goodness, if he made pit speed.
Black flag! Black flag!
Oh,
he's
dead.
dead!
Black flag. I tell you what, he was hauling the mail getting into pit road, though. My goodness. I was wondering if he got it slowed down in time, but apparently not.
At the cone, 64 mile an hour. That ain't going to work. Pit speed's what, 50 here?
It is 45. Which
45?
you
Okay.
can go in a little bit hot. You just have to give that time up quickly enough. And unfortunately, he was just carrying so much speed. I give him props because I thought he was headed almost for the barrels there at the end of pit road. But unfortunately, not able to make it down to pit road speed in time. So Carruth going to have to serve a speeding penalty that will no doubt hurt his chances tonight. Here's your race leader, Malik Ray, finally down into the service of his crew.
I also had a couple more drivers pitting as well. Brad Perez followed suit, and now we wait for Presley Sora. He already jumps the gun, so on the brakes he will go. Garrett Smithley will indeed take over the race lead, but that is heartbreaking for Roger Carruth. Way too fast coming in. There's Bailey Turner, a couple of 100 feet behind in the 5 car, also going to take a step down. There's a look overhead of Garrett Smithley, who's going to stay out one extra lap, and this is what I expected. Drivers trying to see who comes in first, and that's exactly what happens when you're the leaders in this game. You kind of wonder, all right, who's going to bite the bullet, who's going to pull the trigger first when it comes down to getting onto pit road, and it seems as though Malik Ray, Carruth, they were in that group to pit first. Here comes Smithley hopping on the brakes. Nick Olson will be behind him also to follow. Seth Eggert out of turn 2, so way too far away, but pretty much everybody getting their final dashes of pit road service in, at least for a majority of the field, and this should cycle back, I believe, to either Corey Heim or Malik Ray in the race lead, but Corey Heim has 2 spots over Ray, so maybe Corey Heim may take the lead tonight.
Corey Heim may have cycled through to the race lead. You see he's a little bit ahead of Malik Ray. There are still a couple of drivers that have yet to make their way down pit road. Seth Eggert right now runs in 3rd, but he has not come down in the midst of this cycle. I wonder if he's going to try to make it on one stop. I don't know if that would be possible to be able to save that much fuel, or if he's perhaps just trying to get a caution at this point.
Well, he just said he's coming, so ain't burst your bubble, but yep, here he comes.
All right, so about 45 laps looks to be, at least under green conditions, about as long as you can go. So Seth Eggert finally going to give up. You see Bickford goes in, and Eggert missed his pit stall. Eggert drove a couple stalls past, drove backwards, almost hit James Bickford, who had to come down pit road. So Eggert overshoots the box, has to back up, and he'll lose a little bit more time doing that.
Here we go for the lead, boys. Here comes Malik Ray. Right back to the inside of Corey Heim. And he's going to go to the inside, try and take this lead away. Got the lap car of Brett Baldeck right in front, but no problem for that number 1. He goes back to the front.
Malik Ray right now with those fresh tires looks to set sail as he makes his way by Corey Heim. Has a number of lap fresher tires than the rest of the field, so Malik Ray looking to cruise out and ride this one through until the next cycle of green flag pit stops. It's Malik Ray right now who leads. Heim in 2nd. Leighton Sabile has cycled through to 3rd. Adam Cabot 4th. Ryan Vargas, he pit a little bit early, and he did not fix that damage. So he still has that right front damage, did not use that fast repair, even has a little bit of rear end damage as well. So Vargas looking to hang on. He's losing a lot of time. Sora cycles out to 6th, Max Kinnon 7th. Colin Fern right now is in 8th, but came down awfully early. 9th, Gabe Wood. And then David Schoenhaus done a nice job there. You could see moving by Colin Fern. This long run playing into Schoenhaus's hands, was running in about the 24th spot a little bit earlier, but Schoenhaus, good job under that long run, finds himself in 9th.
And with the drivers pitting on different laps, and pretty much lap after lap, and everyone's taking different alternative routes, it's become a hornet's nest in the latter half of the top 10. They're almost 3 wide as Brad Perez tried to chuck it underneath Colin Fern, almost got in the way with Justin Melillo, who is a lap down, so he's trying to unlap himself here right now as of the moment, and things are getting very hairy around top 5 on back. There's a look on the rear end of the Traction.GG Ford Mustang of Melillo. Perez trying to work the high side around the lap car, but it is not working, and Ryan Vargas almost had a tap to the outside wall. He's going to open the door for Gabe Wood to go down low, so everyone trying to siphon themselves through on the different tire calls, and it is becoming mayhem around 5th behind.
Again, this is kind of the mix-up of all those differing strategies. The fresher tires are rolling at this point. We do see a decent amount of fall-off in this race. We started out at least looking at Brad Perez. Oh, big moment there from Melillo. You could see him kind of shake his head in disgust or perhaps trying to balance himself. I'm not exactly sure. You could see him calling out over the radio, take a little sigh of relief. So Melillo definitely has his hands full, but the fall off here is pretty significant. It's about 2.5 seconds, about 2 seconds or so, depending on how well you save your tires. I'm looking at lap times for Brad Perez, who started in about 30.7s, ended in about the 32.7, so about 2 seconds there for Brad Perez in terms of fall off. Kind of evens out after about lap 35. It looks after that you're pretty much riding through until those pit stops. So that's why you kind of see this conglomeration of everybody mixing up who pitted early that's falling back, and some drivers who elected to stay out a little bit longer, not get trapped a lap down, who had some pretty significant pace, almost contact there off of 2 with Max Kinnon is Brad Perez. So a couple of hairy moments here around the 60 car as Showdown's right behind him. We'll try to go for 8th.
Yeah, these guys up here are not given an inch right now as here comes Schulthouse. He's going to take 8th, a good rebound for what was an abysmal qualifying effort. Qualifying back in 24th, he's picked up 16 spots since the initial drop of the green flag. But he's right back into a rhythm right now. He's closing in on Cannon. He's closing in on Brad Perez, and I thought Perez had a pretty good car. He seemed to fall back there toward the latter half of that fuel run, but here he is now picking some guys up, putting them down. He's up to 6th. And how about Adam Cabot, man? About 2 seconds behind Malik Ray. He's picked up 26 spots since the drop of the green flag. He started 29th. He's in 3rd right now, trying to chase down Corey Heim, who's about a second up the road.
And again, that's not a short pitting strategy call either. He is just that fast. So a tip of the cap there in definitely in order for Adam Cabot, who runs in 3rd after starting in 29th. He and David Schildhouse really started back in 24th, has worked his way up into 8th, 2 of the bigger movers that we've seen so far. Kenneth, I think this is the longest we've made it in a race, and we still don't know who the DoorDash winner is going to be tonight. I think this is the longest we've made it without having that answer already.
That's weird, Blake. Usually we have somebody at least out of this race by 1 point, but I think it's good that everybody's still on track, all 37 of the cars, although we do have many 1 lap down or more, but it's good to see that most of the field is intact. Right now, Seth Eggert is holding that spot 3 laps down in 37th, but again, lucky dog rules could affect that. We know that there's a lot of cars up in front of him that are 1 lap down or more, so things may not change, but things also may change if things go haywire in the next half of this race. So Eggert has it right now, but things may go a different route later on in this race. Just look at this pack right now around Garrett Smithley around the latter half of the top 10. Again, Melillo is a lap down. He's trying to unlap himself, trying to get by David Schildhouse. A big block by Smithley on Nick Olsen for 9th. Gabe Wood outside of that in P11. And he's going to hit. They're going to stack up. And Smithley's going to get hit. He once, twice, and then will save it somehow out of turn 4.
It looked like Melillo may have run into the back of Schildhouse, and in turn, Smithley really had nowhere to go, was already right on Melillo. Melillo a lap down. Smithley gets a little bit of damage on the rear end of his machine. He's also got some damage on the nose as well, so Smithley definitely going to have to make some adjustments here. Smithley into the back of Olsen live. He's out of shape, but they save it. Here's a look at the replay of exactly what happened. Looks like he may have gotten a little bit of a shot there from Nick Olsen initially, and yeah, you see that stack up. Smithley had nowhere to go.
I think Smithley wasn't trying to get at Nick Olsen. He came over the radio and said, "Are you kidding me?" I think he was just trying to drive it into the corner, and Nick Olsen took his line away. I think that's what happened more than anything. But they've sorted it out for now. Garrett's going to try and close in, and actually here comes the 24. He's pitting, yeah. So Nick Olsen's going to come onto pit road, and he's going to pit. That front end is beat in pretty good right now. So he might have the same problem that Ford Martin had where he's overheating, and I think that's going to put that 24 to pit road, and he's going to have to use his fast repair right at halfway.
Which, you know, I don't mind this call from Olsen. He'd rather come down, fix it now, hope the strategy works out than ail out there with the damage. So Olsen comes down, he gets his fast spray. I don't even know if he took tires there. That was a very brief pit stop there for Olsen, perhaps just topped off on fuel, and that is it. So we'll see how that works out for Olsen as he goes a lap down. Well, again, as we reach the halfway point, we'd like to remind you that Interstate Batteries is built to top industry standards. Interstate Batteries has been the technician's choice for 9 years and counting. Powered by a distributor network of 300 wholesale warehouses and backed up by more than 150,000 dealers around the world, as well as 200 All Battery Center franchise stores, Interstate seeks to deliver the most trustworthy source of power to the world every single day. Interstate Batteries, outrageously dependable. As we look out over halfway concluded here in this SimSeats 120 in the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. Malik Ray, your leader, and has looked awfully strong since the drop of the green flag. This is another one of those Championship 4 contenders that we were talking about a little bit earlier in the night that we thought would be running much better. Colin Fern started 14th. He's a driver, Kenneth, that we're accustomed to watching move forward, drive through the field, but so far tonight it has just not gone his way. Sits right now in 16th, and a bit of a shock, I think, up here in the booth watching him kind of just sit back here in about the 16th position.
It's definitely true. It hasn't been the upfront Colin Fern that we've been used to seeing. Tonight just hasn't gone his way, and he's been hanging around the mid-pack, so it's not like this race is completely over for Fern. He's just kind of been meandering around 15, 16. He started 14th, and he's only 2 spots worse at the moment right now as of halfway, so Fern just kind of hanging in there. Maybe he can get a spot in the top 15 on Ryan Vargas, maybe top 14 Gary Sexton just up the road, but Fern has just been trying to stay there, and he was pretty much had the worst end of the stick on the exit of the pit road strategy, where he basically got swarmed by everybody and everyone out of the corners, and Fern just trying to hold on. Remember, Fern is trying to fight for top 13 eligibility in the playoffs. He's 1 spot shy of top 13 behind Gabe Wood in the 50, so he needs some work here done to get into the playoffs this season, and right now it is not going his way as the battle for second starting to heat up. Corey Heim under fire from Presley Sora.
Sora has done a job working back towards the leaders, has even caught your race leader here these last couple of laps. That gap now under 4 seconds. Sora did not have a great pit stop. Lost a lot of time on that green flag cycle, but has started to showcase why he was in the second spot to begin with, as he's pulled up right to the back bumper of Corey Heim. A lot of speed out of the 98, a lot of speed out of the 51, and they are dead even now. Sora trying to find a weakness, trying to find a soft spot to try and get by that 51 car.
And Presley Sora losing that time on pit stops, that all came trying to get on and getting off of pit road, because looking at the lane times that we get in our scoring, Malik Ray had a 38.6, slowest pit box stop, 15 flat, 38.1 for Heim, 38.2 for Sora. So Sora didn't lose or gain time for pit road. Whatever he gained, he lost trying to get on and trying to get off. That's why it pushed him so far behind. Here he goes now to the bottom. He's going to try and make that inside work, slide up a little bit from that blue line. Not quite going to get the spot. They'll be side by side off 4.
A little bit loose off of turn number 4 is Sora there on the bottom. He and Heim go side by side. They stay side by side into turn number 1. Sora right on the paint is going to clear. Heim tried the crossover, but Sora parked himself perfectly there in the center of the corner. Heim a little bit of a runoff, though this battle is not over. They have a little bit of lap traffic right in front of them in Dakota Curtis, but it looks like Sora into 3, able to enter so much deeper right now than that 51. So Presley Sora now in second. Corey Heim settling for third.
And if they continue to go at it, it opens the door for Adam Cabot, who, by the way, fell back to Presley Sora earlier, now starting to catch up. So things may change for the Cabot eSports number 17. On the other side of the Cabot eSports group is this driver right here, Bailey Turner, in 7th, trying to work on Nick Olson, who's a lap car, but it's Lane Sabile he's fighting for in terms of position P6. Sabile up high. There he is in that black and white Tufco Flooring Chevrolet Camaro. He's going to get stacked up behind Olson. and Bailey Turner is going to move on through that. It's a pass for 6 complete for the Cabot eSports Chevrolet Camaro, and this is really helping Adam Cabot right now. I mean, defending champion did not do well to start, but has since picked up the spots and has been doing a fantastic job. Look at Bailey Turner working 3 wide under Melillo and Olsen, the 2 lap cars into turn 1. Turner trying to take all the risks right now.
Well, Bailey Turner trying to get around this lap car of Justin Melillo. Mark Rabilis is into the wall right in front of them. Melillo gets pinned in behind him by Leighton Sabile. Kennan going to try to take advantage of that as well. A big send into the corner out of that 21 car. Nearly gets into the back of Justin Melillo. So this lap traffic starting to play a factor here as we continue to click these laps off right now. 22 cars is all that is left on the lead lap as we now work lap number 72 under this first run that has been completely under the green flag. Right now, Malik Ray still has about a 4.5-second lead over Presley Sora. Heim sitting in 3rd, Cabot 4th, Brad Perez holding strong right now in 5th as he's able to get by the lap duo of Nick Olsen and the 0-1 of Joshua Slate there on the top side. Bailey Turner going to move by as well. Turner a little bit out of shape trying to get by Slate, but looks like he's able to do it for the time being. Jacob, this is getting...
trouble to Sabile in the wall. He's sliding through turn 3. David Shieldhouse hits him into the wall. Caution flag is out. He gets hit by Gabe Wood hard in turn 4. Leighton Sabile got turned around. He made contact with Max Kennan fighting for that 7th spot. Sabile gets put into the wall and he can't quite save it. First caution flag of the night in the Sim Seats 120.
And I was just about to say we're getting close to our 2nd round of green flag pit stops. And you see right there, Kennan moves up off the bottom. Into the wall goes Sabile. Shieldhouse did all he could to stay off of him as Sabile was trying to collect that race car up. Nowhere for Gabe Wood to go. I'm not sure if he can limp that car around under caution to come get his fast repair. But Leighton Sabile running up in the 7th position gets hit, and our first caution flag of the night here at Charlotte, courtesy of the 21 and the 43 car, contact in 3 and 4.
And that was tough placement there for Shieldhouse, who you heard the revs immediately dropped to 0 as he was hopping on the brakes, trying to get out of it, made bare contact to the rear end of Sabile's car and officially sent him around. But I think Kennan just tried to send it in a little too deep, and in the middle of the corner, you saw the 21 just kind of bounce off the car, oscillating up the track and washed up significantly. And Sabile, obviously nothing he could do to avoid that, tried to save it, but then the extra contact and the fact that he was still wiggling the car made it worse. And then the hit from the 50 of Gabe Wood might have sealed the deal for Sabile as his car is now billowing smoke out of the rear end. So the 43's night has just gone from slightly all right to terrible in a matter of moments.
Hasn't gone his way as you see a number of lap cars who are going to take the wave around here. Malik Ray and most of the lead lap making their way onto pit road at this moment. You can see Ray right now, that lead pit stall that is very, very... it is very kind to you if you get the pole here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, able to launch. You see the lead that he also exits pit road with. It'll be Sora, Heim, Perez, and Bailey Turner, your top 5 off of pit road. Guys, this sets up a fuel mileage race. If you think about Seth Eggert, he pit on lap 47. He was the last driver to make his way onto pit road. Right now, 45, 46 laps to go. I can imagine these cars going to be awfully quiet under pacing after this pit stop because we are set up perfectly nearly for a fuel mileage race to the end. Let's see if we can get Maxwell Kennan in here to talk with us a little bit about that most recent incident. Max, kind of take us through, walk us through what happened there in 3 and 4.
Well, they had that pack in front of me for a little bit, then they got strung out, and, you know, we're all out here riding on old tires. And I guess I kind of just, if your car is outside of you here, you get tight, and I guess I underestimated how tight I would get on old tires. So I drove it down in there. I should have been more patient because I was going to pass him on the next corner, but I just got up into Leighton and sent him in the wall, I guess. I apologize to him. It's just a bad deal.
All right, well, how do you think the rest of the race is going to go? Been relatively clean so far. You're up here in 7th. You get to keep your spot here, courtesy of the new rule. Any good outlooks here for the rest of the night?
Just saving tire. We've been doing good. I've been really, really, really good towards the end of runs on old tires. So we'll see how it plays out here.
All right, we'll let you get back to it. Maxwell Kennan right now running 7th, and after contact there with Leighton Sabile brings out the first caution flag of the night. And Kenneth, Jacob, we hear it right now. These leaders, you can even hear it as they pass by our cameras that are set up around this racetrack. They are all shutting the motor off and clutching to try to get this thing to the end.
And as soon as you said it, Blake, the fact that we may have a fuel mileage race, I immediately went to the cockpits of Malik Ray, Presley Sora, Corey Heim, Brad Perez, practically everyone in the top 5, top 10, and all of them are at least saving in some manner, in some way. So they understand, too, that this pit stop, this caution, a pivotal one here in the latter half of the SimSeats 120 is going to change the game, and they need to make sure they're on the better end of that side because Malik Ray has been bitten by fuel strategy before. We've seen many drivers get bitten the same way, especially at tracks like Charlotte. Even the real-life NASCAR drivers have been bitten by fuel strategy at this track in previous years, so they have to make sure they're ready for all the challenges, and it's going to provide for a great run at the finish.
Lights go off on the pace truck. We'll go one to go. A number of drivers have elected to take the wave around to get back on the lead lap. We want to remind you that Battle Beaver has everything you need for your next professionally modded custom controller. With options for PlayStation, Xbox, GameCube, and more, Battle Beaver has everything you need to elevate your gaming potential. Head to BattleBeaverCustoms.com to customize your controller, and of course use the code PODIUM for 10% off. Again, that is BattleBeaverCustoms.com, promo code PODIUM for 10% off of your custom gaming controller. And work down the back straightaway here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. We'll get the green flag with 42 laps to go, right on the edge of that fuel window. As again, these drivers still, as we're about to approach the BST Shocks restart zone, shutting their motor off, knocking in the clutch, doing everything they can to try and save every ounce of fuel as possible. And this is actually going to change things up. Call from Race Control, they are going to give us one more lap. So that actually is a huge benefit for these drivers as the lights go back on the pace truck. That will give them an extra lap to save some fuel. That's a big break for these drivers.
It's something about clearing penalties, and Josh Mendoza's a workhorse as always up in that race control tower, and he's trying to sort things out right now. Oh, I see what it is. So you had multiple guys stay out under the caution flag to get the wave around because they didn't pit while they were a lap down while the leaders pitted. That includes Nick Olson, James Bickford, Ford Martin, Josh Slate, Brett Baldeck, Michael Massey, Justin Malillo, and Mike Clay. So they all now stayed out. Problem is now they need to pit. So Josh Mendoza allows them to pit now. They're going to get their black flags cleared. And they got to hurry on up because we're 1 to green on the back straightaway. And most of them only just came off of pit road. So
well,
they
if
better
you
get
stay out and get the wave around, isn't that meant to be a you kind of get, you don't get to come down pit road. That's kind of the trade-off,
well,
is you stay out, you get waved around, and then you kind of are hoping for a caution here. So that would be the thinking. We're going to try to sort things out once again. Lights go back on the pace truck as they try to sort out this situation right here. Malik Ray, still your race leader. Sora will be right beside him in second. Corey Heim, Brad Perez, Bailey Turner, your top 5. Adam Cabot, Max Kennan, Garrett Smithley, Gabe Wood, and Will Rogers. That'll round out your top 10. So still trying to sort things out here for just the next couple of moments. We'll see the lights go off and see if we can't get this race back under the green flag once again. We'll take this time, of course, to let you know that Boosted builds a custom platform for your brand to sell your products. They take care of absolutely everything. Pay nothing and let them handle the rest. To get started with your online store, visit BOOSTED.BIZ today. Again, that is BOOSTED.BIZ today. So it looks like a couple of drivers getting down on the apron, trying to save as absolutely much fuel as they can. Lights are still off on the pace truck, so we hope that this will be the signal to get going back green. It'll be 40 laps to go this time when we take the green flag, so that fuel concern that we had a couple of laps ago, I think that's, for the most part, that's out the window at this point. I think you're pretty well safe to be able to make it to the end here with all of these caution flag laps that we've been pacing around here. Lights are still off, so it looks like we are set to go and try to take you to the end of this Sim Seats 120. Ray, Sora, your top two as they line up. They'll work their way into the next move Columbus restart zone, and with that painted restart zone on the track, Malik Ray has freedom to go wherever he so desires, and he'll go right smack dab in the middle of the restart zone, gets about a car length and a half lead. Green flag in the air, he gets out front. Corey Heim looks to be clear into second.
Of course, advantage leader Malik Ray, advantage second as well. Presley Sora going to be hot on the heels of the 51. They're side by side for fourth on back. That's Perez versus Billy Turner. Multiple cars around. George Balfans being one of them. They travel to the apron of the racetrack. TJ Cummings, Raja Karuth, and they all keep it straight. So we will stay green entering turn 3.
Has a rough ride down there. I don't know how they quite kept it together, but Corey Heim, a great drive off at turn number 4, starting to try and challenge Malik Ray for the top spot into 1 and 2. Here comes Ray, Heim, and Sora, your top 3. Turner has moved up into 4th.
He put a heck of a block on Corey Heim coming down the front straightaway, pretty much put the left side tires into the turf for that 51. Heim will regroup now, knowing that he's got to be pretty quick to get by Malik Ray. He is very aggressive on the restart, slamming the door shut immediately. As the battle further back, you got side-by-side action. You got the 2 of Robbie Lyons up on the high side. You got the 15 of Garrett Smithley down on the low side with Vargas behind him and Gabe Wood in front of him.
They're going to nearly make it 3 wide as they work through turns 1 and 2. Robbie Lyons.
Trouble in the wall, 1 car up into the air. Michael Massey. Caution is out. Upside down and on his roof. Michael Massey in turn number 1. He made contact with Charlie Brown and then up into Raja Karuth, and it sends Michael Massey to space camp in turn number 1. Here's the replay.
And what a hit by Raja Karuth. My goodness, Massey goes for an absolute ride. Karuth was on the high side, and that's where the contact is going to originate. You take a look here at the high side. You see that 27 car painted right in front of him of Michael Massey. They get into turn number 1. Looks like a little bit of contact made. Massey bounces off of that 1 car there on the bottom. That was Charlie Brown. And Karuth, a hard hit, but nothing on what the ride that Michael Massey just had.
Michael Massey just cleared for takeoff out of Charlotte International Airport. That was unbelievable, the contact on the wall, but just a slight tap from Karuth sent Massey all up into any sorts of ways that got him into the outside wall in the first place. And by the way, those were the same cast of drivers that were just trying to get back settled after what could have been the caution out of turn 2, but unfortunately, we see that Michael Massey may be out of this race, and that may be our first victim for the DoorDash Award if he falls back behind Seth Eggert.
Well, at the very least, he's going to have to take the tow back to pit road. May have a fast repair there waiting for him. We'll have to see. Karuth is going to make his way down pit road. Mark Rabilis is going to be given the lucky dog. So after that round of wave rounds, believe Rabilis and Eggert were the only 2 cars that are 1 lap down. Massey, of course, will after he gets his tow, but we were talking earlier about 22, 23 cars on the lead lap. That since has gone away, and it'll be just about the rest of the field that goes a lap down. Cause of caution from race control, they are going to put it on the number 13 car of Raja Caruth. So Caruth sitting on pit road at the moment. Again, no penalty here for Raja Caruth, but he is going to have to come down. He is going to use his fast repair. So Caruth will get a brand new race car. He will start at the tail end of the field, not because of the penalty, but because of the service that he's taking right now. As we work under the second caution flag here of the evening in the Sim Seats 120. We're glad to have you with us here for the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. Blake McCandless, Kenneth Bueno, and Jacob Hitz on the call for you here as we will work our way under the caution flag for the second time here tonight. We'll take a quick break and we'll see you back on the other side as we keep things rolling here from the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
This is an Interstate battery. More pros trust this than any other out there. Yeah, more pros. More. Even more pros. Keep going. Moss. Look, we're gonna run out of time before we run out of pros who like Interstate. I mean, we'll run out of time before we even run out of left-handed pros who knit. These pros are everywhere, which means so is this battery. Right around the corner, up the street. Everywhere. Interstate batteries. Outrageously dependable.
Visit our website at ToughCoFlooring.com.
Under the caution flag for the second time here tonight in the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries, Season 5, race number 8, with only just a couple left before the playoffs. As a matter of fact, it is only one of just 2 races remaining before we start those playoffs. So you can take a look at the schedule right there. We're at Charlotte tonight. We move down. We will be running next. Of course, July 4th is next week, so we'll take a break for that. We'll be at the Michigan International Speedway in the trucks to end the regular season. And then, Jacob, we're right into full playoff mode after that.
And the playoffs going to be wild. We start at a road course, getting the last road course out of the way at the Daytona road course with the Miatas. Then Legacy, Texas with these Xfinity cars again. Then we take the trucks out to Las Vegas. Then perhaps my personal favorite, well, 2 of my personal favorites. Bumpy Daytona with the ARCA cars and the Indy cars at Auto Club before we wrap up with the Cup cars at Atlanta. And then we take the trucks for the Championship 4 at Homestead to end the season.
Good schedule coming up here. Again, a return to form. We had a lot of really interesting tracks, interesting cars that we had. This is more up the wheelhouse for many of these drivers who work in the NASCAR industry. This is a little bit more familiar territory, and I think we've seen that play out tonight. We've seen some great racing so far here tonight, as it looks like lights are off on the pace truck. We'll get the green flag here as they'll work their way past. We'll see where Malik Ray elects to go. Both drivers on your front row not playoff eligible. Ray has only run a couple of races this year.
Whoa!
Only one big stack up is it looks like the restart, and there is the whole field wrapped up in this one on the front straightaway. Ray went late. Hahn tried to jump the start. Sora got in the back of Malik Ray, and the rest of the field came piling in.
and it just looked like, Blake, that everyone on the inside was expecting Malik to go in the middle of the restart zone like he did last time by, but he didn't. They stacked up. Everybody got hit. Bailey Turner was one of the first to get spun around into the outside wall after hits from Max Kennan and Adam Cabot, Gabe Wood. And that is a huge one on the quad oval section here at Charlotte. All of them still stacking up, trying to get behind the iRacing official pace car, but it is a mess in the front of the field on the restart.
A lot of damage for the guy, well, through the whole field as we ride on board with Bailey Turner. He got some of the worst damage with that. Corey Hahn did get a black flag since he did go before Malik, playing some games on the restart, and that takes out maybe a dozen cars involved in that. So a lot of carnage on the front straightaway. That's going to be a lot for our admin Josh Mendoza to sort through, and for some of those guys, they're going to be taking their fast repair here because it's going to be just too much damage, especially considering how much these cars rely on aerodynamics. That is huge.
Huge, and the list of names involved in that one is a long list. Brandon Brown, Raja Caruth, David Schildhaus, DJ Cummings, George Belfans Jr., Reed Wilson, Brett Baldeck, Ford Martin is involved in that one, Colin Fern, Matt Stallneck, Gabe Wood. Perhaps I should have said who wasn't in the accident. That would have been a little bit easier on my part, but my goodness, it was, and you know, the more I look back at this replay, I know some drivers out in the chat talking about Malik Ray. Malik did absolutely nothing wrong. He has all the freedom to go whenever he so desires in the restart zone. He was going to go about as late as you could, and I think the rest of the field anticipating that. This is one of those things about introducing these restart zones to iRacing that I thought was going to be a learning curve for a lot of these drivers, is that they're going to kind of roll through the restart zone and anticipate to try to get a jump, whereas, you know, for so long here in iRacing we've had these just gigantic restart zones because as soon as the truck or the pace car is pulled off, the leader can go whenever they want. So everybody's seeing that they're approaching the restart zone, trying to roll up on it. Ray is electing not to go because he has that right as the race leader to start the race whenever he wants. Heim anticipates it as well to try to get a good jump. He knows how good Ray is and how much he needs a good restart. So I would say, at least on my assessment, Malik did absolutely nothing wrong. He can go as late as he wants, and the rest of the field just really trying to roll up and anticipate it is what caused that.
Yeah, he has the advantage to use whatever part of the restart zone he wants as long as he gets going through the restart zone, or at least after the restart zone, and then the green flag is displayed here at the racetrack. But the thing is, obviously, with the big change introducing the restart zones, it limited the space in the amount of predictability that drivers need to have to go for the gears and go for the start into turn one and at least get the best jump possible. But I mean, it's still such a tough job to anticipate when the leader is going to go, because again, Malik is trying to throw everybody off. He knows that if he goes the same place every single time as a race leader, somebody's going to catch on at some point, and they're going to at least take notice of that, take advantage, and get by him, or at least try to make a pass. So Malik is just aiming to get the whole field off their marker on the restart zone. It's just everybody behind them tried to predict where he was going, and unfortunately it caused that huge stack up. But the biggest thing to note is that all these guys, front runners, heavy hitters, now have damage, and a lot of them are not pitting. Presley Sora has rear end damage. He hasn't pitted yet. Remember how fast his Ford Mustang has been all night long. Max Kennan has front and rear damage on his Chevrolet Camaro. He's been running well all night. Same deal for Brad Perez. Same for Garrett Smithley. And it is just a tough scenario for many. Adam Cabot was one of them, but Cabot, I believe, had made the stop onto pit road, so things are going to change for the driver of the 17. It's just a bad situation all around when it comes to that little restart zone and just trying to anticipate when Malik is going to go, and it causes the biggest wreck so far on the SimSeats 120.
Jacob, look at how many cars have damage that are still on the racetrack. I mean, I'm looking at Presley Sora, Max Kennan, Brad Perez, Garrett Smithley, Matt Stallneck. I mean, I don't think there's a car on the racetrack that doesn't have damage aside from Malik Ray right now in the top 10. Everybody is taking that gamble. They either don't have that fast repair left or they anticipate a little more carnage and they're trying to save it. I'm not exactly sure. We do have word from race control. Cause of caution going to go to the 98 of Presley Sora is what Race Control is saying there on that restart. So Presley Sora tabbed with that. He will maintain his spot in third. But like I was saying, Jacob, there are so many cars that are damaged up here. It's hard to find one that doesn't have a scratch on it.
And track position matters a good bit here because it is tough to pass. But when you have damage, you're going to be slower than somebody that doesn't have damage. I've seen, like, Raja Karuth, he got that, or not Raja, Ryan Vargas. He had that damage early on in the race, and he was falling through the field like crazy, like it was only running on 7 cylinders. He's going to restart back in the 31st position because he pitted under this caution flag to fix some of the damage that he got from that caution. So, right now, it's all guessing at this point because I'm sure those guys at the front that have damage think, oh, we're not going to make it very far. So we'll just stay out, keep the track position, and see what happens.
I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of drivers off the pace. They may not know how bad that damage is when they approach this restart. Malik Ray, Corey Heim. Let's see when Ray elects to go. Same, he goes a little bit late, but does get that jump. Green flag in the air, and we'll see whose vehicle is up for it and who isn't. So they work into turn number 1. Looks like Heim able to clear down for second. Sora's still holding on to third, so better than I thought we would see. Somebody may end up off the pace, but for right now, a little bit of crinkles on these cars ain't slowing them down too much.
I think, Blake, since most of the top 10 has at least some sort of damage, they're equalizing each other as you ride on board with the 41 of Matt Stonek. We haven't seen this car up at the front of the field practically all night long after starting in 30th, and this is his chance in the final leg of this race as he now is under fire from Brandon Brown in the 12, also the 29 of James Bigford. They're side by side for 8th and 9th right now on the racetrack, but so far our leaders all single file, and the damage not affecting them as much as they thought.
Oh, Colin Fern shoved up the track way back in the field. He saves it, but looked like a little bit of contact. He was 3 wide. I don't know if it was Caruth or if it was on back. Yeah, or no, it was Caruth.
Yeah, it was Raja. He got boxed in behind Marker Billis, got mad, go to the middle, 3 wide. He's having a lot of fun back there, if you couldn't tell, just trying to pass anybody and everybody. Unfortunately, just a little bit of contact there with Colin Fern. I don't think he mean to move him out of the way. He just thinks he's faster. He might be faster. It's just unfortunate that he had to get that 86 up out of the way. He's going to try 3 wide again back here. Robbie Lyons tries to shut the door on him. He has to lift. Lyons drives it in way too deep. They're going to be 3 wide with Charlie Brown and Ryan Vargas.
Yeah, Caruth making some aggressive moves, trying to get some track position back after being put at the back of the field after he was damaged in that accident with Michael Massey. 1 car off the pace, though, into the wall. It's Maxwell Kennan up at the front of the field, off the pace here at the high side of turn 2. No caution flag yet. I think the engine has expired on that number 21 car.
And he was riding behind the 60 of Brad Perez, and indeed the smoke came out of the rear end of the 21 and then got an extra hit out of the 12 of Brandon Brown, so the damage affecting the 21, and it will indeed most likely put him out of this race. Kennan pretty much towing all the way back to pit road. They continue to fight.
Oh, trouble is on one. Big crash. Almost upside down goes the 11 of Steve Affont. It's a big one. Gary Sexton is all torn up. Dakota Curtis, Steve Affont, the 01 of Josh Slate involved in this one. A dozen cars, maybe more, piled in. Charlie Brown, Gabe Wood is involved in yet another one. Case Kallenbach with damage. As I mentioned, Gary Sexton's car, it's a modified now. The front clip doesn't exist on that race car. It all started around the Dakota Curtis machine. Cars getting turned each and every direction, and a good bunch from piled in. Raja Karuth got a piece of it. He has left the session. He's done. It was contact between the lookalike cars, the 11 and the 01, that kicked this whole thing off. David Schoenhaus, Bailey Turner also involved.
I'm going to take a look. It's behind Matt Stolnick, who was, I would say, a little bit off the pace. He has a little bit of damage. He goes to the bottom and checks up really hard, getting into turn 1. Of course, Slate digging there on the bottom. Steve Affont was as well. And that is just a huge stack up to try and anticipate. You can see Schoenhaus gets wrapped up in that one as well. Had such a good run going earlier, did David Schoenhaus. I don't believe he has a fast repair left. You can see there at the bottom of the track, Raja Karuth, who definitely did not have one left. He's already left. Robbie Lyons, a tough break right there. I'm actually hearing Shieldhouse does have his fast repair left, and, well, he's going to have to use it now.
Yeah, Gary used his, so he's in trouble. Case Collenbach has used his, as had Gabe Wood. So that's big problems for those two guys right there. And Gabe Wood, we know it's important for him as far as points are concerned. He was the cutoff line coming into tonight by 1 point over Colin Fern. So if Colin Fern can keep the fenders on it and put together some sort of a decent finish, he might very well be in going into the last race before the cutoff as far as the playoffs are concerned. As here's the onboard with George Belfans Jr. as he is just sliding on through there, and I think he's going to miss everybody. Yeah, how about it?
It's a nice little slide right there, gets through it. You can still see some damage on his car. Looking at a couple of drivers who used their fast repairs off of pit road this time. Colin Fern did, David Schildhouse. Belfans did not. Joshua Slate did, DJ Cummings did not. Charlie Brown did. So still a decent amount of drivers who have that fast repair left. There's a number of them who don't, or they're fixing damage on pit road. Garrett Smithley, Gabe Wood just took off. Mike Clay has some significant damage. Gary Sexton, I believe, is out. He's already used his, and he's done. He's just completely done. Max Kinnon, Dakota Curtis still sitting on pit road as well as the pace car comes around to lap them. Ford Martin is 9 laps down. He's in 37th, but he is rolling on the racetrack right now, so he may or may not get that DoorDash award. He's got to go a little bit further. Not quite sure who he would pass or he would put back there to potentially receive it. It might be Roger Caruth. It might be Max Kinnon.
And Kinnon just caught out of pit road.
Yeah, Kinnon just got a fast repair,
so it will be Caruth that Ford will have to get by, and obviously 22 laps to go. As long as Ford has an engine, as long as his car is okay, Raj is going to get the DoorDash award unless somebody wrecks within the next handful of laps. So they need to be at the same marker or worse on the lap down marker as Caruth. So as Caruth leads the session, 36, Ford Martin getting service on pit road, 9 laps down. It looks like the 13. My pick, unfortunately, it may get last out of this one.
And a big shakeup here on pit road, Jacob. Not everybody elected to come down and take tires. Malik Ray, who was your race leader, well, guess what? He's in 13th now, so your top 12 stayed out.
Yeah, really interesting. It's only been, for those at the very front, 20-some laps since they pitted for Corey Heim, Presley Sora, and the like. So Malik Ray, Brad Perez, Leighton Sabile, James Bickford, Devin Henry, Matt Stolnick, Ryan Vargas, they all pit. Colin Fern as well, David Schildhouse, George Belfans Jr., and then those guys that were involved in the crash, as I believe we're going to get a chance to talk with Steve Affont here under this caution.
See, we can't pull Steve in here. Steve, I know we're going green here in a lap, but just want to get your perspective. What happened there in turn 1?
I'm still trying to figure that out. I was more focused on what was going on in front of me. Me and Matt Stolnick always race each other really hard, so he was really guarding the bottom there, but I'm not quite sure what happened behind me. You guys probably had a better view of that.
All right, starting back here in 25th, looks like that car is fully repaired. What do you think your prospects are here in these final 20 laps?
I feel pretty quick, so we'll see. It just kind of depends on what plays out in front of me. You know, we get pretty aggressive towards the end of these races, so I think I can get a top 15 maybe. We'll see.
All right, Steve, we'll let you get back to it. Thanks for talking to us.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
So there you hear from Steve Affont, involved in that incident. Not quite sure what happened. There was a lot going on there, and even with the courtesy of replay, I wouldn't say that we're 100% sure of all that happened, who's at fault, what have you. None of that matters now, though. Rolling through, we'll get the TobyChristie.com 20 to go when we get this restart. Corey Heim, Presley Sora elected to stay out. They will be your top 2. And they will work their way through where Heim was trying to get a good jump earlier into the next move, Columbus restart zone. He gets a good jump once again. Green flag back out. Heim up by a couple car lengths into turn 1.
And a more even restart this time. Battle for second between the 98 and the 24. Olsen and Presley Sora, they're 3 wide in the middle of the top 10. Malik Ray, remember, he's on fresh rubber trying to get by. He's going to duck down low underneath Sabile and Brett Baldick. A big block by Rogers going into turn 3. Malik stand and slides the 24. Rogers is going to try to keep it alive, and he will for a moment. We'll check with the 41, and around he goes. Caution flag waves with 18 laps to go, and there's the final send-off for Rogers. A slam into the tire barriers just before pit road.
I thought he had it collected up, was going to use a little bit of the apron. As you see, Malik Ray there, rather huge run. Ray was entering beneath the apron. He thought he had a nose there, and he deserved that space. Will Rogers was not having any of it. And you see the ensuing aftermath of that, and Rogers, unfortunately, it ends in the pit road barrels. But you can see right there, Ray with the run goes down. Rogers pinning him down there, and Ray said, guess what? I'm here.
Man, there were about 4 different wrecks on that lap. Devin Henry had a wild ride, as we were right on board with. He got loose coming off 2. David Schildhouse went to the apron. They were 4 wide back there with Ryan Vargas behind this battle with Malik Ray and Will Rogers. And, you know, with 20 to go, I don't quite blame Malik Ray for not taking the block, but what a drive by Will Rogers, almost saving it and then just augering it straight into the barrels there at the end of pit road. Big damage for that 24.
A lot happening right there. Of course, Will Rogers, your winner from last week, so at least you can take some solace in that he has a bit of a cushion to fall back on. He's locked into the playoffs. So definitely a good situation for him there, getting that win. Jacob, I know we were talking before the race, and my goodness, what a gaggle around that playoff cut line when it comes to points. We have plenty of spots in the playoffs for drivers to get in on points right now. You have 5 different winners up front who are playoff eligible. 6th through 13th on the grid is determined by points at the moment. But the amount of points separating David Schildhouse, who leads all of the non-winners with 198 points, back to Colin Fern, who's the first driver on the outside looking in, only 17 points. So it's a mess back. An absolute mess. You're exactly right.
Yeah, because you got Gabe Wood, who's been involved in, I think, 3 different wrecks tonight, who's 1 point in. Colin Fern has had a rough season, not just a rough year, but a rough season, who's somehow still on the line. Stephen Ellis, who's not even here tonight, who's close to the line. Mark Urbillis and Ford Martin, who have both struggled tonight as well, that are trying to get themselves in, but are having a bad night tonight.
A bad one here. Let's see if we can get a word from Devin Henry very quickly before we get going here. Devin, you had quite a view for that wreck. What happened there?
I tell you what, Blake, it doesn't get much more scary than that when you're able to see someone sideways in front of you that close to your front bumper. Because I don't want to hit Will or anything. I don't want to help anything. I about wrecked the field coming off at 2 because I got a little saucy out of turn number 2, and then I saw Will do about the same thing coming into 3, and it looked like he was going to save it and go down. So I was like, I'm just going to stay high. Stay high, we're good. He saved it and comes straight up the track, and I'm going, I'm not thinking this is a good thing. So, you know, it's moments like that that get you ready for the final 15 laps, I think. So I'm back focused. I think I'm good.
All right, well, we hope you can keep that nose clean. You got a little bit of right front damage and a little on the rear. I guess we're trying to help you out here in the booth a little bit to diagnose that race car, but we'll let you get back after it. I know there's a lot left to be determined here these last 17, 16 laps or so. So good luck, and, you know, if there's a couple other cars like that, hopefully you can dodge just like that.
Thank you, Blake. Have fun up there, guys. This is going to be a good one.
All right, Devin Henry there. You can see the setup there for him, leaning a little bit forward there. He's ready to get after it. These last 16 laps, I believe we'll get the green with 15 to go as the lights are off on the pace truck right now. But I think the biggest thing to take out of this is we had that split. It kind of reminds me of the Cup Series race in Nashville Superspeedway last night. You had a big split between drivers who stayed out for the track position near the end of the race and those who thought tires were going to help. This caution does not help anybody who pit and took tires. They want as many laps to be able to use those tires as possible. They don't want to go through all these heat cycles to take their advantage away. So the more we can run under green, the better it is for them. The more wrecks we have, well, that helps these folks up front.
And that reminds me back to Season 3's championship race at Homestead and Miami Speedway, where we had questioned whether Raja was going to be able to get over the hump and get to the championship with the freshest rubber on the field, but the cautions kept flying and the time to get to the front basically dwindled down until it was basically non-useful for the driver of the 13 at the time. And it may become the case for guys like Malik Ray and everybody behind that are on the freshest rubber in the field. They need as much time.
They are wrecking under caution, Kenneth.
Oh, Lord.
Gary Sexton, Case Collenbach, and the 45 of Dakota Curtis. Well, Dakota didn't get in it. It was Gary and Collenbach.
Intentional.
I don't know what's going on.
Either that or Gary just
It
did
looked
not know he was on the
intentional.
outside, but
He turned up an awful lot for that to be, I didn't know he was there. Look how far he turned to the right. I could be wrong. I don't know for sure. But I don't know what they'd be mad at each other about, but
I mean, there's no
penalty for
urgency
Sexton.
there. They're trying to get up to the outside. I mean, this is right before the restart, theoretically. Of course, now we're going to have the lights out, and we'll go green this time by if all else goes well. But I think Gary was just trying to get into place in a quick time and then didn't realize that Collenbach was there, and then the contact is made. It's just another disappointing hit to what's been a disappointing night for many of them so far. So, yeah, that's tough.
I was about to say I don't remember any point earlier in the race where they would have been angry at each other.
The only wreck I remember that involved either one, they were in the same wreck. It was that big one going on, well, first the restart, I guess, and then the big one that happened in turn one a couple of laps later.
Oh, man. So a little bit of extracurricular activity here. Again, I guess we'll follow up and see if that was intentional, if it wasn't, if it was just a bad accident. Nevertheless, I think we are set to go here. Pace truck gonna roll off. Corey Heim, Presley Sora, just as they were last time, your top two. How about Justin Malillo hanging out right there in that fourth position? See if that 53 car can keep it up towards the front. Green flag in the air. 14 to go when they take the strike.
And once again, more even between the top two, top three. Nick Olsen going to dive to the inside and will officially clear Presley Sora. So the work that he was trying to get over the 98, that last restart, now ends up on the positive side for him. They're battling around the top five. There's Justin Malillo, Bailey Turner, 5th and 6th on the racetrack, bringing Brandon Brown in the 12, heading into turn 3. They're side by side for P6, and they're almost 3 wide coming out of turn 4 in the mid-pack.
They were 3 wide for a moment further on back in the pack. Right now, those fresh tires starting to make up quite a bit of ground as they start to work towards turn 1. Malillo, Ray, contact with Adam Cabot directly behind this group. Brandon Brown is trying to roll on the top side. Bickford going to go to the top side, 3 wide. Right with Fern. Ray and Sabile make contact. Ray saves it. Fern going to try to go 4. Ray shuts the door into 3.
That was big. I thought the 43 and the 1 were going to go sliding, but I had to do a double take. Justin Malillo, he's on the lead lap. And up here at the front of the field, now he's getting split 3 wide. Bickford on the outside. We remember Bickford, he started on pole, jumped the initial start, had to go to the back. He has made his way finally into the top 10, and here comes Malik Ray after pitting. He's back into the top 10. Brandon Brown up here as well. Balfans is sideways off the corner. Nice little chicane work for Balfans. Gets back on the racetrack. Still 3 wide into 3.
Oh, 3 wide. Malik Ray on the bottom. Sabile thought of making it 4. Cabot right now on the top side. I think Brandon Brown, older tires, is where everybody's trying to get by. Bickford going to go to the middle. And he's going to turn Brandon Brown. Brown, can he collect it up? No, they cannot. Caution is out. Bickford hard into the wall. Malik Ray, after the caution, spins out as well. And I believe he was trying to save it. He got into the wall.
Oh my
boy,
God.
a
Man.
run.
Brake pedals, guys. Matt Stolnick would have missed it. And he got clobbered. Bell fans got sideways when he got on the brakes. So that one I get. Getting into Gabe Wood there, I don't think there was much they could have done. But poor Matt Stolnick, man. He got into a wreck that he had nothing to do with. You'll see it back here. Watch the red car. Wham! Get in the back of the 41.
And again, this all originated right up front in this pack, this battle for 7th. Brandon Brown was hanging on. Bickford had a run up the middle, and it looks like Brown may have cut across the nose. You can see the impact. Michael Massey, a hard hit. There are a number of drivers who definitely used the fast repair. Brad Perez, awful hit for him as he was rolling there on the top side. Ryan Vargas looks like he lost the front clip of his car. Steve Affont, Stolnick, looks like Baldeck was able to get through relatively unscathed. Leighton Sabile, Gabe Wood's Chad has been disabled. We've had a couple of those tonight. We haven't really chronicled all of them. I think Fern had his disabled a little bit earlier. Mike Clay pretty much came to a stop. We'll see it one more time.
And this, Blake, is just a gaggle of drivers on differing strategies. Talk about guys like Malik Gray on back that went on pit road, got the fresh rubber, and at that point with everybody staying out, the big difference obviously is going to cause this type of racing. Drivers pretty much all over each other trying to get by, and the old tire guys bracing for impact, the new tire guys trying to get by. You look on board with Mark Rabillas, he slows down in enough time, very far from the wreck in turn 1. You see an Ale, Charlie Brown, Brandon Brown, pretty much everybody trying to get by. And then that second bit of contact in the front of the field, Malik Ray had slid on the apron. He basically got in the wall on his own accord trying to save it, but it was Colin Fern that got into Robbie Lyons and slammed into the side of the 2, which basically got Bigford Perez and everybody else in that second bit of contact around. You see Colin Fern getting by that same deal for the 17 of Adam Cabot. And it just only gets worse if you're around the top 10, top 15. I think I'm going to take the words out of Devin Henry's mouth and say this is scary if you're in this group.
See, look one more time here. Adam Cabot on the top side. Yeah, you definitely see the contact there with Brandon Brown. He's able to get through about as well as you could. My goodness, there's a Malik Ray who was really had nowhere to go. He got trapped to the apron to try to miss that wreck. Had all that speed, carried it up to the top. Robbie Lyons is disconnected from the server. We have gotten an answer. Raja Caruth will win the DoorDash award. He is 16 laps down out of the race. Fort Martin did pass him, so Raja Caruth going to get that $25 DoorDash gift card. And it looks like we've gotten that one to go signal. No, we haven't. Lights are still on the pace truck. We'll take another look here at the onboard from David Schildhouse. He runs under the caution right now at the moment behind Garrett Smithley. By the way, Schildhouse in prime position right here on lap 10. Almost got to the back of Smithley. They're still wrecking.
Wow.
27 slides through. He sees the 58. My goodness, what a job driving through that.
How many is that? 4 or 5 cars that almost hit him or that he almost got into, and somehow that Chevrolet Camaro nose is clean. Wow, what a job by Schildhouse to get away from the mayhem, and with that avoidance, he's up to 10th.
He's able to get through it right there and perhaps salvage what might be a good run. Let's see if we can't get a word with him real quick before we go back to green. I believe we're going to get the one to go this time. David Schildhouse, any final thoughts here? We get the one to go. Inside 7 to go. I believe it'll be 6 when we get the green flag. Any last omens here before we get going?
I don't know how I made it through the last one. I feel like I'm playing on borrowed time right now. That was that was one of the cooler Moseses I've ever had, but I know there's a lot of destroyed race cars here in front of me. I got to try and work my way through them as best I can. We'll see what we can get here, but something tells me we are not done wrecking.
Any thoughts to just go high and pray that there isn't someone sliding up in front of you?
Well, that's certainly one way to do it. I'm just going to go where they're not. You know how these things go, Blake. Sometimes you're the bat, sometimes you're the ball.
All right, we'll get the answer to which one you are here in just a couple of moments. Good luck.
Thanks.
David Schildhouse always smiling. We'll see if he's smiling here in a couple of laps. As the lights go off on the pace car, he will start in the 10th position. Heim, now it is Nick Olson who overtook Presley Sora, so Olson will be on the front row. Not a whole lot of changing up here in the top 5 as they've been wrecking behind them, so the old tire call staying out has been the way to go for sure. This pace truck will pull off here. Corey Heim has not ceased control of this lead. So we'll get 6 to go when they get to the stripe this time. Green flag, not a great start for Heim. It stacks up the rest of the field.
Black flag, Nick Olson got cleared though.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Olson did anything wrong there. Just had to have it cleared. Side by side for second into turn 2. Here comes Presley Sora. Big run on the bottom. A little bit of damage, though. I think it's going to slow Sora down on this straightaway. Olson definitely a cleaner nose, so we'll see if Sora can clear. Doesn't look like it. Oh, they're close contact made. Olson hangs on, and he'll take second.
That was close there between Olson and Sora, but while they're doing that, they're only letting Corey Heim run away. Now they're side by side for 5th. Bailey Turner, Colin Fern, the 5 and the 86, going at it into turn 1 and 2. Give the advantage to Fern coming out of the second corner. David Schildhouse trying to make it 3 cars there for the top 5, but Corey Heim going into 3 and 4 will catch 4 laps to go from Charlotte.
What a drive for David Schildhouse. This is exactly what he's been looking for. Some consistent runs to get him into the playoffs. Schildhouse this season, it's been a bumpy road. It's either been top 10 or outside the top 20, but after the 3rd place last week at Gateway in the Super Late Models, I think now he's starting to get into the groove, starting to get into that playoff rhythm that we would always see. You know how Tony Stewart would always heat up in the summertime? I think that's exactly what's happening to David Schildhouse right now. Here he goes to the inside of Bailey Turner.
Oh, and what a recovery he had. Remember, he started at about 24th, drove his way up to the front, held on to that fast repair. A good decision here as he's able to go by. Colin Fern also hanging on to 4th. Here comes Schildhouse through the turf to try to get up into the top 5.
And these restarts, Blake, have hurt the 98 of Presley Sora dearly. You see some of that right rear damage on his I Love Jerky Ford Mustang, and it is starting to really ail Sora at the moment. Here comes Turner to the inside, another rookie this season in the Pro Series, but Schildhouse trying to find some space behind Colin Fern. Corey Heim, though, all up at the front. 2 laps to go from Charlotte.
I don't know if you battle or you try to help each other. Right now, Schildhouse will try to go by Colin Fern for that 3rd spot up front. Nick Olson, last 3 laps, has been faster than your race leader and Corey Heim. So Olson doing everything he can to try and chase down Corey Heim. You can look off the tail end of Heim's machine. I don't know if it'll be enough, though. Olson running out of time. They'll get the white flag out of 4 this time.
Man, I saw Justin Melillo down on the apron on the back straightaway. I thought for sure that we were going to see some contact, but we're instead going to make it all the way. White flag for Corey Heim. Nick Olson closing the gap just a tick faster that last time by. He's been faster these last couple of laps. The gap is 3 car lengths. The gap is 2 car lengths. As they rocket off turn number 2, Nick Olson within striking distance down the backstretch for the final time.
Olson a fantastic 1 and 2, but he'll need an even better one in 3 and 4 to have a chance. Into 3 and 4 for the final time. Heim to the bottom. Olson goes to the middle. Olson backs up his corner and is not going to be enough. Corey Heim, first ever start, is going to go to victory lane here at Charlotte.
A masterclass performance by the debut driver, Corey Heim, to victory lane. But look at the rest of the top 3. Nick Olson, David Schildhouse. After Schildhouse started 24th, Colin Fern P4, Bailey Turner P5. That is 3 drivers, Blake, in the top 5 to finish that started 14th or worse in tonight's Sim Seats 120. Unbelievable job of endurance and skill for everyone, but Corey Heim will walk away victorious tonight.
I remember reading on Twitter, it was, about an hour and a half, the announcement that Heim would be running tonight. He runs all the time on iRacing, is very familiar with the service. And I think I just showed you just why that he's got a lot of talent here, not only in the real world but the virtual world as well. So he's going to do a little bit of a burnout in that EPI Toyota. Corey Heim, your winner tonight in the Sim Seats 120. A great drive from him. And again, this field included a lot of iRacing's best, even included Malik Ray, NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver. So impressive for Corey Heim to come out on top out of all of that talent. As we'll take a look here at your full field running order. I know you guys chronicled some of the great finishes that you just saw, some of the great points runs that are going to be very helpful for a number of these drivers with just one race left before the playoffs start. Corey Heim, Nick Olson, David Schildhouse, your top three. We'll hear from them in a couple of moments. Second straight week that David Schildhouse finishes in the third spot. Colin Fern, much needed fourth place tonight. Bailey Turner in fifth. Garrett Smithley in sixth. Presley Sora in seventh. How about Josh Slate, involved in that late caution, brings it home in eighth place. George Belfans Jr. just seems to be clicking off those top 10 runs. He brings it home in ninth. And Justin Malillo started in 33rd, hangs on for 10th.
Devin Henry, the driver who we talked to just in the final handful of restarts. He's P11 at the end of this race here from Charlotte. Adam Cabot, your defending champion, is able to pick it up after starting deep in 29th. He's able to be good enough for 12th at the checkered flag. Reed Wilson in the 66 started 25th. He ends up 13th at the checkered here tonight. Malik Ray, we saw the moments where he was dominating the race, the moment where he was trying to pick his way through the field on fresh rubber. It did not work once, it didn't work twice, and he ends up 14th, though. Still a solid end to the night for Malik Ray. Mark Rabillas ends up wrapping up the top 15. A huge run for him and Case Collenbach, who finishes 16th. They both started 36th and 35th, respectively, on the racetrack. Tonight, DJ Cummings ends up 17th. Ryan Vargas finishes this race in P18. It's Mike Clay, the ESPN NFL reporter, who finishes 19th. And Steve Alfon, the 11 Jacob, rounds out your top 20.
Gary Sexton had a good night going. Couple of late crashes. That puts him back in 21st. Gabe Wood, 22nd. Brad Perez, he had another strong car. Really, all these guys had good cars. Couldn't finish the job. Matt Stallneck in 24th. Everybody else a lap down or more. Brandon Brown 25th. Seth Eggert 26th. Will Rogers 2 down in 27th. Max Kennan 3 down in 28th. Brett Baldeck 3 down in 29th. Dakota Curtis in 30th. And the rest: Robbie Lyons, Ford Martin, Michael Massey, Leighton Sabile, James Bickford, Charlie Brown, and winning the DoorDash Award tonight in 37th, Raja Karuth. Blake?
A tough night there for Raja Karuth, as we will catch up with tonight's winner, Corey Heim, a first ever career start here in the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries, ends in victory lane. Corey, how does it feel to debut with a victory?
Feels great. You know, I've heard about this league for a long time and heard a lot of good things about it, and it's kind of been a process to make a start, but you know, I feel like, you know, I'm not technically an iRacer per se. I don't, you know, do this a whole lot, but to come in the league and you know, be with these guys that seem to be really good iRacers and hang with them for a while. I feel like Malik kind of had us covered for most of the race there, and his pitch strategy was really good and just the whole 9 yards. But you know, there when it counted, made the right decision and stayed out. Had some cautions that helped me out at the end, and you know, Nick Olson helped me out too. Him just sticking with me on the restarts and challenging Presley, that was big for me as well. Just thank you to Elite Performance Industries for sponsoring me, and glad we could get my super in victory lane today.
Will we be able to see you out here a couple of times? I know you mentioned trying to get out here and make a couple of starts. I know you're a very busy young man, but can we anticipate perhaps a couple of more entries into this Monday Night Racing Series as we move along here in Season 5?
Yeah, I'd definitely like to. You know, like I mentioned, you know, I heard a lot of good things about the league, and it's been a process to get in. But now that I'm in and racing, I should be able to make most, if not all, the races. And I don't know if I'm in contention for the playoffs or a championship, whatever it may be. But if I am, I'd definitely like to partake in it for sure.
All right. Well, we'll go let you celebrate it. Corey Heim, your victor tonight, the SimSeats 120. Congrats, Corey.
Thank you.
We'll move forward to second place. He's caught up with Kenneth Bueno, and that is Nick Olson.
How we doing? Here with the driver of the number 24 Grip Marketing Chevrolet, Nick Olson, who finishes second here tonight. Of course, Nick, you were trying to tail behind Corey Heim. I know there were a lot of chaotic restarts even before the last run to the finish. What more did you need there on the 51 to get to victory lane tonight?
Yeah, Corey and I work well together in the leagues that we do run, so there was a bit of comfortability running with him, so we were able to kind of work together on those restarts. But that last restart, I mean, obviously the race is on the line. If I had 2 or 3 more laps, I genuinely think I could have gotten there. But given halfway, we were a lap down, having taken our fast repair, and there hadn't been a caution yet. And honestly thinking the night was over for us because that had a real green feel to it. Second place is kind of unbelievable. So I'm really, really happy to be back here.
And he gets second place in 2 consecutive weeks after finishing P2 just 1 week back at Gateway. So I think that's definitely helping. But going into this race, you were only just a couple of points above the cut line in the top 13 for the playoffs. I know it must have been very sketchy there with the way this race went overall, with the amount of crashes and the way it pretty much changed hands in the second half. What were your thoughts behind the wheel of just trying to make sure you were in the right spot at the right time to at least keep that point lead over the top 13?
Man, I mean, it's just survive. That wreck on the restart, we were restarting 22nd, trying to claw our way back from getting a lap back, and we pretty much stopped. Gained like 7-8 spots. That played the difference because we did not pit the rest of the race after that. So we were able to cycle up, and unfortunately some guys had trouble. I do want to give a shout out to my teammate Robbie Lyons, who once again had a wonderful top 10 run going and unfortunately gets taken out, stuff that's not his doing. He deserves a shout out. He's a way more talented driver than I am, and just want to give him a shout out because I know he's probably not terribly thrilled with how the night went. But for us, I'm just excited to get P2, jump up the points some, and I mean we still got a crazy race to go next week, or 2 weeks from now, I guess, with the off week, and anything can happen there. But at least we built ourselves a bit of a cushion. I don't know what the points are going to look like, but it had to have helped, right?
Yeah, definitely so. And that turns to my last question here. Michigan with the trucks, we know how crazy Michigan is, the type of super speedway field, the trucks with a lot of downforce. We're probably going to see a lot of pack racing there. But now with this good finish here, P2 tonight from Charlotte, is that little points buffer going to give you some more solace? Is it going to make you more comfortable going into Michigan, or is it still that feeling of protect the gap at all costs and don't fall out of the top 13?
Well, you guys know as well as I do, this can change at the drop of a hat. I could lead coming to the restart on a green-white checkered at Michigan, hypothetically, and get put 3 wide, crashed, and I finished 29th just like that, and all of a sudden we're out. So I think you do have to keep the points in mind, but I think you just kind of got to race your race. Halfway through tonight, I was a little panicked about the points, but my spotter, Brandon Hoff, just got my head back in the game and got 1 car at a time, and that's really all you can do. So you get 1 car at a time, 1 lap at a time, like Chad says in the spotter pack, then you'll end up all right.
And of course, it all worked out for you in the end. P2 here tonight in the SimSeats 120 from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Of course, Nick, on behalf of our team at Podium eSports, want to congratulate you on P2 tonight in this race. And of course, wishing you and your family a happy and safe July 4th weekend. And we'll see you at Michigan in 2 weeks' time.
Sounds good, guys. Thank you. And just want to give a shout out to Grit Marketing and Kyle Dagger, everybody over there that helps us do this. Really, really an honor to be a part of this league, and glad to be getting the success.
Nick Olsen in the 24 ends up P2 tonight, the 2nd week in a row. He finishes 2nd, but Jacob, he's not the only driver in that category. David Schildhaus gets his 2nd straight 3rd place finish. You're caught up with him.
How about that? Coming away with 2nd, 3rd place finish in a row. Points were already looking okay, pretty good all things considered, but nonetheless, you were back there in traffic tonight. Take us through the whole race, pretty much.
Jacob, it was an eventful night for the Xyloware Chevy Camaro. It seems like a lot of these races for me this year have been pretty eventful, but it started with a terrible qualifying effort. I just blew it, and I knew starting deep in the field with this combination was not going to be good because this was all about track position and tire wear, tire preservation. So I had to drive hard. We picked up damage from the 86 earlier, like lap 14 or so. We picked up some left front damage, and I was just sort of nursing it around under that long green flag run. But as soon as we got that yellow, I knew what was going to happen. I'm pretty sure you guys knew what was going to happen too. It was about to turn to a free-for-all, and that's exactly what it turned into, which is unfortunate because we demonstrated we could do green flag racing. But it was a fight. I didn't want to use my quick repair because I didn't have any confidence that we, weren't done wrecking. And sure enough, we weren't. So I held on to the quick repair. Then we had the big one in turn 1, and finally used that quick repair, took a set of tires, and then just drove like my hair was on fire. But really the race saver, Jacob, and I don't know if y'all saw it or not, I had one of the greatest wreck avoidances I think I've ever had in my sim racing career. And that was the difference. That gave me the opportunity to line up where we did, got around those slow cars after we talked before the restart. And I guess in this case, I was the bat, not the ball.
5th top 10 of the season now, going into the last regular season race at Michigan in the trucks in 2 weeks' time. Are you worried about points? Are you worried about, I just want to go in and win? What's the game plan for the regular season finale in 2 weeks?
I think after this finish, I'm not worried about points. We came in as the top non-winning driver. We always want to win a race. I definitely would love to win Michigan in 2 weeks. I feel like I have a good chance to do that and at least get that playoff point. But I'm not as worried. If I had come out of here with a 30th place finish, I would be more worried. So, the approach for Michigan will be go in, do what I've been doing this whole season, put myself in a position to win. If it goes my way and I win, great. But just try and stay out of trouble and put the pressure on everybody else. The guys that need to worry, I'll let that be their problem, not mine. So I'm going to enjoy the off week. Go see some SRX racing at Nashville Fairgrounds. I can't wait to do that. And come back ready, refreshed for Michigan, but I won't be feeling any pressure. It'll be nice to have a week away and think about things, but pressure? Nah, not for me.
Well, congratulations on the top 3, David. Enjoy SRX. Enjoy the holiday. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Jacob. Again, a big shout out to XyloWare for their support. TobyChristie.com, Advanced GG, Next Level Racing, SRDSetups.com, and everybody at the Charlotte Phoenix and Twitch.tv/Shieldhouse. The children got themselves a hell of a show tonight. Happy to put it on for them. We'll see you guys in a couple of weeks.
David Shieldhouse, 3rd place tonight from Charlotte. Blake?
Well, always easy to say if you're David Shieldhouse, no pressure, right? Well, that may be the case next week. But guys, I cannot believe that we are already at the point that the playoffs are just more than one race away. We have one more race in the regular season, and then we're already moving forward to the playoffs. So Shieldhouse gets to take a little bit of a break, not have to worry about too many things because of his points lead. But guys, we have one more race at a track, Michigan with the trucks. That's a free-for-all. It's a wide open race for anybody to take.
It is. Last time we were at Michigan, it was with the super late models, but of course these trucks are way different. And even that race with the super late models was a free-for-all, was a showdown, pack racing to the finish. And I'm thinking of only one word, and one word only, Blake. By the time we're getting to this regular season finale, it's desperation. And I feel like we saw that, especially in that second half of the race. Once that first caution was thrown with Lane Sabila getting turned around, every driver, whether they were running for the playoffs or not, were desperate to get to the front, desperate to gain position, desperate to go for the win. And that's going to be the same, if not amplified, by the time we get to Michigan in 2 weeks' time. Around that top 13, that's where things are going to get very hairy. Desperation going to take over. But guys, we went through pretty much almost the entire regular season. It's been a blur. It's been unbelievable.
It is crazy to think it's been that long. So you have a whole host of drivers, Jacob, that's their only opportunity. They're going to have to win. Then you have about, I don't know, probably a group of 10 or 15 that you can make a case for to get in on points, and that creates a whole different ball game. You're going to have people who go all out to get in, and then you have about half the field that needs just a good points run, but there's going to be so many of them battling for those spots.
It's going to pretty much come down to what happened tonight is going to be the key in 2 weeks' time. You'll have guys like Gary Sexton who are in, Gabe Wood who was in coming into tonight that might find themselves on the outside looking in when we come in 2 weeks. They're going to say, well, what the heck happened? They're going to blame tonight. So they're going to be driving extra hard in 2 weeks trying to earn those points back. You also have the outlier like somebody that Justin Melillo, who isn't necessarily in the points conversation, wins in 2 weeks, wins at Michigan, and gets himself into the playoffs with that win, and bumping somebody that could have been in the top 13 all season long based off of points, and just find themselves 1 point short and getting bumped because somebody on the outside looking in got that win and moved on. And I'm curious to see what's going to happen with Corey Heim, too. Corey says he's interested on running in the playoffs. If they allow him to run, that's really going to shake things up, because then that takes one more spot away from the guys trying to make it on points that they can take advantage of. It's going to be really fun to watch in 2 weeks' time.
A lot left to unfold, and then, of course, when we get to the playoffs, only 2 races per round, so a lot of pressure. The temperature is turning up here in the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries, and that will last through the rest of the season. Now, of course, we won't see you next Monday night, so July 4th weekend, so we wish you and your family a very safe and happy Independence Day. We hope you have a wonderful time next Monday, next weekend, whatever you decide to do. In 2 weeks' time, we will be back for the regular season finale. Trucks at Michigan. You're not going to want to miss it here, live on Podium eSports. We will get that kicked off at 7:30 with green flag set for 8 p.m. Eastern time. That'll do it for us here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway tonight, though. So for Ford Martin and Paul Sutton at Monday Night Racing, Josh Mendoza and Race Control, for Gary Sexton and John Theodore at Podium eSports, our camera builder Dougie Beard, overlay builder Michael Hall, Cameron Aubin on our social medias tonight, and for our broadcast crew on the call with you tonight, Blake McCandless, Jacob Hitz, Kenneth Bueno, and Ryan Bauer down in the virtual production trailer. My name is Blake McCandless. Thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast, where we bid you farewell, and congratulations to tonight's winner of the Sim Seats 120, Corey Heim.